Chapter 685. Now, Gufei, you guys take me back. Lu Chen turned his head and said to Gufei. Ah? Take you back? Beishui Gufei was stunned, not knowing what to do. Lu Chen nodded and said with certainty, That's right, I'm a fugitive. Then I'll go back as a fugitive. I want to see what they're going to do to me if I say I don't want to join the immortal army. After a moment of silence, Yanran walked over. Are you prepared for the worst? Lu Chen sneered. The one who should be prepared for the worst is not me, but them. Lock me up. So many people saw me. If you don't lock me up, you won't be able to report back. Since Lu Chen had already decided, Yanran took out the shackles and locked Lu Chen's hands and feet. But when no one was looking, she secretly stuffed the key into Lu Chen's hand. What report back? Our goal is to catch up to you, not to become some great sky general. Lu Chen smiled. Yanran, this girl, was still so competitive. Gufei's team was in charge of stopping the Flame Devil. Although they did not catch the Flame Devil, they caught the solipsistic. This news was even more sensational than catching the Flame Devil. What, Sky General Gufei caught the solipsistic? That's impossible. Hasn't that guy been on the run for a year? It's probably too hard to survive outside, so he could only come back. This is a great achievement. Sky General Gufei has hope of becoming a great Sky General. Due to the fact that Lone Tyrant had committed a heinous crime against his own clan, and that he had not been captured even after escaping for nearly a year, Lu Chen was given special treatment as a VIP. He was directly sent to the Immortal Army Alliance's main prison. To prevent the previous incident from happening again, Lu Chen was locked up in a single cell with someone watching over him. The news of the solipsistic's capture quickly spread to the rear. 3 days later, the Immortal Army Alliance's United Front Department would sentence Lu Chen. The sect masters of the Extreme Immortal Sect, the Sunset Sect, the Immortal Sword Sect, and the great heavenly generals who were still fighting at the front lines all rushed back. There was still 1 day before the trial. In the prison, Lu Chen leaned against the wall and hummed a tune in boredom. The prison door was suddenly pushed open by someone. Lu Chen took a look and saw that it was the great heavenly general, Yuan Zheng of the Four Seas. He carried a basket in his hand and walked in with a smile. The jailer brought over a small square table and 2 small stools. Great heavenly general, I'll take my leave first. Four Seas Expedition nodded. Go ahead. After the jailer left, Four Seas Expedition looked at Lu Chen and couldn't help but laugh. Kid, you seem to be in a good mood even though you're about to die. Lu Chen smiled. It's no use being in a bad mood. I might as well be happy. You! Cut it out. I don't think you're ready to die. Four Seas Expedition said with a smile. He took out some good wine and dishes from the basket and placed them on the small wooden table. Want a drink or two? You're here to help me improve my food? That's great. The food for the past 2 days is too bad. Four Seas Expedition had no lack of cooking masters under him. The dishes were perfect in color, aroma, and taste. They were definitely more delicious than those made by a 5-star chef. The two drank a few cups and Four Seas Expedition said, Little Kwang, you asked your demon friends to spread the news. 2.5 months later, there will be a decisive battle against the extreme Netherglow. How confident are you? I'm not confident yet. Lu Chen ate a mouthful of meat. Its star annihilation and star rank Buddha physique are a little hard to deal with. Nonsense, of course it's hard to deal with. Otherwise, no matter how fierce the battle is, all 9 factions would run back to the city as soon as the sun sets. The 9 factions can't do anything to this extreme Netherglow. Lu Chen smiled. It's a pity that I didn't experience the star annihilation personally. Otherwise, I might be able to tell you how confident I am. Four Seas Expedition shook his head. You're still too impulsive. Can't you be a little more confident before going? Lu Chen said helplessly, There's no other way. I've been poisoned by its venom. I have to fight with it a year later. Lu Chen roughly explained the process of being poisoned by the venom, which made Yuan Jing tremble in fear. Speaking of which, I was poisoned to save the flame demon. Will the great celestial general resent me? Lu Chen suddenly asked. For C's expedition laughed loudly. What a joke. Do you think I'm such a petty person? The flame demon is a talent. Back then, he also tried to assassinate me for the demon race. We both serve different masters, so there's no need to resent me. But little Kuang, have you thought it through after coming back this time? As long as you're willing to join my immortal army, I'll protect you even if I have to sacrifice my life. Lu Chen smiled slightly. Great Celestial General Yuan Jing, I heard that you were the one who protected my fellow Earthlings from being targeted by the half-beastman Celestial General. I respect you for that. After drinking a cup, Lu Chen wiped the corner of his mouth. But I didn't want to join the immortal army back then, and I won't join now. But if you insist on not joining the immortal army, how are you going to clear your name of betraying the demon race? Lu Chen snorted coldly. I'm innocent to begin with. How can I clear my name? I came back this time to tell the so-called bigwigs that they have no right to influence my choice. Great Celestial General Yuan Jing, I hope you can remain neutral when the time comes. I don't want us to meet on the battlefield. For C's expedition sighed. Back then, I had hoped to recruit you. Unfortunately, I still underestimated you. You brat, you're not born to be led by others. If I really recruited you, I'm afraid I would have to clean up your ass every day. Fine. Tomorrow, I'll remain neutral. As for whether you can turn the situation around, it'll depend on your own ability. Let's get drunk today. Come, let's drink a few more cups. 4C's expedition was a straightforward person. Without his identity as the great celestial general, Lu Chen got along quite well with him. When the prison guards heard the hearty laughter coming from the cell, they looked at each other in dismay. No way, the great celestial general has such a good relationship with Solipsistic? Luckily, I treated him quite well before. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be able to survive in the future. That guy isn't here to stay in prison. He's always humming a tune as if he's here for a vacation. The great celestial general even personally delivers food and drink. What kind of treatment is this? Haven't you heard? The great celestial general Yuan Jing really wants that guy to be his successor. I didn't believe it at first, but looking at it now, it's really possible. The great celestial general didn't leave the cell until late at night. At the same time, a logistics team made up entirely of Earthlings was rushing to build an open-air execution platform. Move faster. Do you need me to whip you before you know how to work? A green-skinned half-beast man waved the whip in his hand. When the group of people saw that man raise the whip, they hurriedly moved faster. That guy definitely wasn't joking. Several people had already been injured by him before. What was even more detestable was that they couldn't rest after being injured. They were simply treated like slaves. No one told them what the execution platform was for. These days, they were required to work day and night to ensure that the execution platform was completed by the next day. These super experts, who had been selected from Earth, were forcibly incorporated into the half-beast immortal army. They specialized in these physical tasks. They didn't have any military achievements, nor did they have any dignity. In the crowd, a girl wiped the sweat off her forehead. There were still traces of the whip on her arm, which had already injured her body. However, she didn't have any way to obtain resources and couldn't exchange them for pills. Could this be the fourth heaven? Brother, no matter how dangerous this place is, I'll find you. Chapter 686. The next morning, Lu Yi and the others finally finished building the execution platform. They dragged their tired bodies to the battle pit area to rest. This was the headquarters of the Army of Immortals. Naturally, they wouldn't be given a special room. This time, the higher-ups didn't give them more tasks. They were only told to rest for 2 hours and then gather at the execution platform to watch the execution. If Lu Chen were here, he would definitely see many familiar faces. Carefree Wind from ESD, Stardust from Wild Waves, Lin Sun from TT, Wild Waves, Iron Blood, and even Lu Yi were here. At this moment, Carefree Wind couldn't help but sigh. It wasn't easy to climb to the 4th level. I wanted to develop in the sect, but I ended up being captured and exiled. Stardust also sighed. It's fine to be exiled. It's just a war. But the higher-ups want us to be coolies, slaves that are worse than pigs and dogs. Hey, why do you think the higher-ups are in such a hurry to build the execution platform? Isn't there a special place for executions here? Anyway, that beast Heavenly General wants to mess with us because of the Mad God. If it weren't for someone protecting us, we would have been dead. Maybe he's just unhappy that we're idle. When will these days end? I have a mansion and a luxury car offline, but I'm here in Jiutian as a slave. I'm really sick. Come on. What's money? Attributes are the most important thing. We have a mission on our shoulders. Everyone, hold on. No matter what, we have to get through it so that we can bring more people up in the future. After working hard for several days, 2 hours of rest passed in the blink of an eye. Immediately, an orc sergeant came over with a whip and asked everyone to form a team and go to the square where the execution platform was located. Brace yourselves. Whoever dares to blink will be dealt with according to military law. These people could only stand up and follow the team out of the battle pet area. Lu Chen's sentencing was arranged in a huge square. It was said that this place was originally used to compete for military rank. The surrounding auditorium was full of people. On the rostrum, the 4 heavenly generals were all present, as were the officials of the army of immortals. Such a scene would probably only appear during the election of the great heavenly general. However, a temporary platform was built in the arena, which meant that it wasn't the election of the great heavenly general this time. When Lu Chen appeared at the entrance, all the Earth players were stunned. Lu Yi's eyes widened. She never dreamed that the criminal they caught this time was actually her brother. In other words, the execution platform they built with their own hands was prepared for Lu Chen. The higher-ups deliberately didn't tell them the truth and wanted them to watch as Solipsistic was tortured. Their intentions were so sinister that it made their hair stand on end. Their commanding officer looked at these emotional people with a faint smile. Do you understand now? The execution platform that you built overnight was prepared for your compatriots. During the execution, all of you open your eyes wide. If anyone dares to blink, I'll gouge out your eyes. Men, move their heads. No one is allowed to blink at me. Bastard, you bastard! You want us to build the execution platform with our own hands? You are too despicable. Resist? Don't forget, if it wasn't for someone protecting you, you would have died in the 4th heaven. We don't have an excuse to kill you. The half-beast man said sarcastically. I heard that trash like you are the hope of Earth. Very good, if you die, won't Earth suffer a great loss? This guy had grasped the weakness of this group of people with just one sentence. They came to the 4th heaven because of the combined efforts of all the players on Earth. If they died, the attribute elixirs that those people desperately exchanged for would all go down the drain. The guide plan would be set back by at least 3 to 4 years. No one had the right to let the efforts of billions of people go down the drain because of personal feelings. You bastard! Stardust's eyes were red. He looked at the man walking up the execution platform from afar and wanted to shout, but he forcefully held it in. They were the hope of Earth, they couldn't die. However, the president was there in the audience. Yanran, Gufei, Dongfang Ji, and Moran stared at the execution platform. They actually built the execution platform in advance. This means that they have already decided to convict Mad God? I'm guessing that only the 4 Seas Expedition Great Heavens will oppose Brother Duquang's crime. However, ever since the Four Seas expedition Great Heavens was injured, his prestige has been greatly reduced. The Nine Heavens are a place where the strong are respected. That's right. Moreover, the human race has the lowest status among all the races. Everyone, prepare yourselves. If Brother Du Quang wants to make a move, we must support him in time. Guyenren nodded. Back then, we lived and died together in Azura world. It's the same after we came out. I originally wanted to promote him and exonerate him in the future. Who knew that this guy would come back so soon? If he wants to fight, then let's fight. We will advance and retreat together. Lu Chen didn't seem to notice what was happening in a certain corner. There were simply too many people around him. On the opposite platform, Four Seas Expedition looked at Lu Chen from afar with a worried expression. Little Quang, I'm sorry. Today, I'm afraid that I won't be able to stand on the neutral side. I only hope that you can defeat Extreme E Nether Glow and continue on with my hope. Four Seas Expedition muttered. Standing beside Four Seas Expedition were the Elf race's Great Heaven General, the Dwarf race's Great Heaven General, and the Beastman Great Heaven General Man Tian. When Man Tian saw Lu Chen being pushed onto the execution platform, the corner of his mouth rose. Solipsistic? Let's see if you can still be so arrogant. Just as Lu Chen walked onto the execution platform, someone immediately activated the defensive array around him. Then, the others retreated, leaving only Lu Chen standing in the center of the platform, waiting for his trial. The Alliance United Front Council official was dressed in a black robe. It seemed like he had specially prepared it for today's trial. He took a step forward and said in a clear voice, Solipsistic, do you admit your crimes? Lu Chen slightly raised his chin. I'm not guilty. Not guilty? You still don't know what crimes you have committed. You publicly rejected the invitation of the Immortal Army's 8 divisions. Not joining the Immortal Army is one of your crimes. You assisted a demon criminal to escape, your second crime. You colluded with the demon race and sold information about the human race, your third crime. Lu Chen knew about the first 2 crimes, but this last crime, as soon as he heard it, was made up by their own imagination. Lu Chen slightly smiled, then stopped smiling and questioned sternly, What a joke! First, since you said it was an invitation, as far as I know, anyone has the right to refuse an invitation. I refused the invitation of the 8 tribes, so it's my crime? Do you think that the 4 heavens is your Immortal Army's world, and that going against your wishes is a crime? What a big tone! Second, I assisted a demon criminal to escape? Do you have evidence? Did I provide him with a pick, or did I help him open his shackles? It was the flame demon who opened his shackles and dug a hole to escape. You don't investigate the negligence of the guards, but instead accuse me, saying that I helped him escape? Are your brains flooded with water, or do you only have this much IQ? Third, I colluded with the demon race and sold information about the human race? May I ask, I'm not even a member of the Immortal Army, what important information would I know? Or is it that your army's secrets are usually spread everywhere, and everyone knows about it, so as a civilian, I should know a lot of important information? What a good human Immortal Army! Not only are you arrogant and despotic, you also know how to fabricate facts. You really have the spirit of, those who submit to me prosper, and those who oppose me perish. The judge was so reprimanded by Lu Chen that he could not say a word for a long time. Hearing this, Four Seas Expedition could not help but cover his mouth and laugh. This kid, what a sharp tongue. It seems that it won't be so easy to convict him. Chapter 687. Great Celestial General Man Tian took a step forward and sternly shouted, Solipsistic man, your ability to invert right and wrong is truly formidable. As everyone knows, within the 4th celestial layer, all the sects serve the Immortal Army. Without us at the front lines, where would you find a place to settle down? As a disciple of the Immortal Apex sect, You openly disobeyed the recruitment of the immortal army. I would like to know if this is your intention or if the immortal apex sect thinks that its wings are strong enough to resist the immortal army of the other camps. You shared a cell with the flame demon and gave him your food to help him recover his strength. You clearly knew that he was the culprit who injured the great celestial general of the Four Seas expedition. When he escaped, not only did you not report it, you even escaped with him. If this isn't collusion with the other races, then what is? According to what I know, you risked your life to save the flame demon, the culprit who injured the great celestial general of the human race. Not only did you not kill him, you even wanted to save him. If this isn't treason, then what is? Lu Chen coldly snorted. Great celestial general, this label is really firm. Are you using the immortal apex sect to pressure me? The immortal army's contribution to the human race's territory cannot go unnoticed. However, you are mistaken about one thing. The immortal army does not belong to you alone. The immortal army consists of millions of immortal soldiers. Where do these immortal soldiers come from? They come from all the great sects. The immortal apex sect is unable to resist the enemy with its own strength. However, it is because of sects like the immortal apex sect that the immortal army is supported. However, now that some people have become generals of the immortal army, they feel that they are a cut above the rest. If an ordinary person says no, they will be thrown into prison to await execution. I want to ask you, who gave them this right? Great celestial general, you. The flame demon escaped. I am a death row prisoner, and you want me to report it? The next day, I will be executed. Why didn't I run? Must I become an animal that you can slaughter before you feel that I am not treason? After saying this, Lu Chen suddenly changed the topic. Actually, the reason why I said so much to you is not to prove that I am not guilty. If you want to convict me, I will not worry about the pretext. If you want to convict me, I will not be able to defend myself. So you're admitting your guilt. Man Tian narrowed his eyes, not knowing what Lu Chen was planning. Lu Chen smiled. It doesn't matter. All right, since you've already confessed. Wait. Lu Chen suddenly interrupted Man Tian. You didn't understand what I meant. In your eyes, the rules are set by you, and in your rules, I am guilty. Man Tian coldly snorted. It seems that you are a sensible person. No matter how glib your words are, you will not be able to escape punishment. Lu Chen smiled faintly and said, Actually, there is a simpler way. If I kill the person who made the rules, then I am not guilty. The crowd was in an uproar. F***ck, what kind of method is this? What he means is, he wants to rebel. Killing the person who made the rules. Does he want to face an army of thousands by himself? With a click, Lu Chen's handcuffs and shackles were all unlocked. Actually, he could unlock them even without the key, as he had Harry Ball. Standing alone on the execution platform, Lu Chen slowly pulled out the limitless Fiend God sword. With the sword in hand, Lu Chen proudly stood in the center of the execution platform and looked around. Jiutian is a place where strength is respected, and I have never liked to use force to suppress others. However, since you all like to use force, then I will make an exception today. Now, let me ask, who thinks that I am guilty? Lu Chen's gaze was filled with shock. I heard that he was very arrogant before, but I didn't think so. But now this guy is too arrogant. A mere human is simply too arrogant. He actually wants to challenge the entire immortal army. The 4 heavenly generals are still here. There are still so many mid-heavenly generals and junior heavenly generals. There is also an immortal army outside the headquarters. He is not arrogant, he is crazy. When they saw the person on the stage holding the sword, Lu Yi and the others couldn't help but gasp. President, is he crazy? No, this is the mad god we know, the solipsistic. Even at the 4th heaven, he still dares to use his own strength to fight the king of strength. Immediately report to the headquarters on Earth. Lu Yi stared blankly at her brother on the stage. When they were young, they depended on each other. Her brother did not bow to fate, and now in the Jiutian, he did not bow to the immortal army. He was such a person. That stubborn and persistent person was her brother. In the stands, Zhenghua Yanran's chest heaved violently. Her fate with Lu Chen originated from a battle between battle pets, and then she saw Lu Chen as the goal she wanted to surpass. Now, she had finally caught up to Lu Chen and reached the fourth heaven with him. She was a junior heavenly general, and Lu Chen was just a commoner. It seemed that she had surpassed Lu Chen in terms of status, but it was only now that she truly understood. The gap between that man and her didn't shrink, but instead, it grew bigger. Her feelings for him had also changed from pure dissatisfaction to something strange. That kind of indomitable spirit, who dared to go against the heavens, had already made her, who was proud and arrogant, short of breath, and her heart beat wildly. Solipsistic, you are not allowed to die. Nantian took a deep breath and said, Lone tyrant, I, Nantian, am not worthy of being called old brother Nantian by you. For my extreme immortal sect to have such a loyal and righteous disciple like you, it is our great fortune. The corner of 4C's expedition's mouth curled up as he muttered to himself, This stinking brat is really too arrogant, but I knew you would do this. This is your character. However, you have to be careful of Mantian. That guy is the strongest among the 4 heavenly generals. Arrogant to the extreme. Solipsistic, where do you think this place is? How dare you be so impudent? Mantian coldly snorted as a violent aura erupted from his body. Don't think that just because you managed to escape from Demon Venerable Holy Battle, you can escape from me, Mantian's hands. Solipsistic, you dare to openly challenge the dignity of the immortal army. Today, I will definitely kill you. Lu Chen's gaze turned cold. You dare to touch my fellow earthlings? I still have to settle this debt with you. Great Heavenly General Mantian, there is no need for you to personally kill this person. Countless immortal army soldiers jumped down from the stands and surrounded the execution platform. Dozens of mid-heavenly generals and junior heavenly generals jumped onto the execution platform. Solipsistic, a mere human like you dares to be so arrogant here? Today I will tear you into pieces. Even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, I want to see how you will stop my million immortal army. Soldiers, listen to my command. Today we will kill this traitor. At this moment, several figures jumped out from the stands. Gufei Yanran, Dongfang Ji and Moran. The 4 of them surrounded Lu Chen in 4 different directions. They had already taken out their weapons and summoned their battle pit. Beishue Gufei coldly said, If you want to kill Solipsistic, you will have to kill us first. A mere human heavenly general dares to be so rash. Since you are protecting this traitor, you are in cahoots with him. Kill them all. Chapter 688. Lu Chen did not expect that under such circumstances, Gu Fei and the others would still stand up without hesitation. Perhaps this was what the so-called friends of life and death were like. At the same time, in a corner of the arena, a group of Earth players stood there. These people did not care about their tired bodies and focused on watching the exaggerated battle on the stage. They wanted to rush to the stage to help Lu Chen, but they were too tired now. Everyone was injured and there were a few half-orc officers watching over them. Behind this group of people, 2 half-orc officers were talking in a low voice. The Great Sky General has given the order to kill them. Kill them? Now? Yes, let Solipsistic go crazy. Then no one will listen to his nonsense. Understood. The 2 of them went behind the Earth players. These people were weak and injured. At this time, they were still watching the battle on the stage with full concentration. Killing them would be easy. Backstab. A half-orc suddenly attacked. However, how could the Hope of Earth not notice it? What are you doing? Xiao Yao Feng shouted. Xiao Yao sword art. Everyone, pay attention. They are going to attack. With the disparity in strength and Xiao Yaofeng's sword, he was naturally not the opponent of the assassin. He was directly hit and flew out. Fortunately, this guy's reaction was very fast and avoided his vital part. Only his body was seriously injured and there was a long crack on his back. It's a physical attack skill. These guys want to kill us. The others quickly became alert. Your reaction is pretty fast. However, so what if you know about this? You've personally built Lone Tyrant's execution platform, so he'll definitely die there. As for you guys, you'll even become a bargaining chip to drive him into madness. Ha 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 ha. I never thought that trash like you guys would have such high value. Stardust's eyes were wide open. I will fight you. Lu Yi pulled out the wishful long staff. Earth-splitting chasm. Come and check on Xiao Yaofeng's situation. We will take care of this. The battle between the two sides was about to start. On the execution stage, Beishui Gufei and the others had already gone all out and were fighting with the half-orc officers. Thunder Domain. Dongfeng Jiutian summoned dark clouds. Thunder Jiutian, summon heavenly thunder. Boom, 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 boom. Thunder rumbled in the sky as dozens of bolts of lightning struck the orc army. The electric charge in the domain caused the lightning to quickly form a chain of lightning that shuttled between the enemies. Black flame breath. The black dragon spat out a ball of raging fire. The black flames rolled and pounced towards the countless enemies. Ink mountains and rivers soared, poetry and wine discussed the world. Mo Ran waved her sword into the ink, killing her way into the enemy ranks. In the distance, Beishui Gufei's 7 purple star swords transformed into 7 sword shadows. Sword intent rampage. The Beastman heavenly generals naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch these 4 unleash their might. They all activated their domains to keep them in check, and at the same time, they quickly entangled the 4. Child's play. That's all you humans are capable of. Sure enough, you only know how to make up the numbers in the immortal army. 10,000 beasts gallop. Kill me. Titan Behemoth, kill Black Dragon for me. Lu Chern slightly narrowed his eyes. Gufei's group of 4's strength had increased by quite a bit, but it was still very difficult for them to deal with so many people. Amidst the chaotic battle, Lu Chen's gaze swept around and suddenly saw a small-scale battle happening not far away. He actually recognized a few people in the battle. Xing Chen? Lu Chen frowned. He knew that Man Tian had always been thinking of ways to deal with his compatriots, but he didn't expect that Xing Chen and the others would actually be here. Taking a closer look, he saw the figure of a woman. At this moment, she was fighting to the death with 2 orc soldiers. Her reaction was extremely fast, and her attacks were also very fierce. However, there were obvious gaps in her moves, and it seemed like she had suffered some injuries. As soon as he saw this person, Lu Chen was a little uneasy. That woman's back was extremely similar to a person. At this moment, that woman was fighting 1 against 2 and quickly fell into a disadvantageous position. The opponent's moves were all ruthless, killing moves. However, she stood in front of Xiao Yaofeng, not retreating even half a step. Not only was her back similar, but even her character was as stubborn as him. Go to hell, human trash. The opponent attacked several times, sealing off Lu Yi's path of retreat. Both of them used their killing moves. Seeing that she was unable to dodge this attack, she gave up on struggling and turned her head to look at the person on the stage. The only thing she couldn't let go of was her brother. When she turned her head, the 2 of them looked at each other. Lu Yi shed tears, and Lu Chen's eyes violently surged with green mist. During the battle with Azura, Lu Chen had learned how to control his emotions better, and retracted the green mist after transforming into a devil. However, this time, the anger in his heart had reached its peak. At this moment, all of his anger surged out in a slanted manner. All of the blood in his body flowed to his brain. You dare to touch my sister, bastard! Lu Chen roared and instantly entered the 6 transformations of God and Demon. The surrounding air was attacked by a burst of chaotic airflow, and the entire space seemed to have been ignited by his anger. In this life, the one he wanted to protect was Lu Yi. 3 lives of reincarnation. Lu Chen transformed into a devil child and roared at the sky, stabbing his own chest with his sword. After receiving a fatal blow, the chaotic domain of God and Demon was activated. Within the domain, there was a deviation in time. 9 void steps. Stepping into the void, Lu Chen had already shot into the distance at a speed that was too fast for the naked eye to follow. Spiritual Space Cannon. With a boom, 2 shots from the spiritual space cannon directly hit the 2 half-beasts in front of Lu Yi. Even the spiritual space cannon seemed to have sensed its owner's anger. Both shots were 3 times the critical damage, -3.4 billion. Although half-beasts had much higher HP than humans, it was impossible for them to reach 3 billion. Under the 2 shots, the 2 half-beasts were directly turned into ashes in the violent spiritual energy explosion. Not even their bones were left. In an instant, Lu Chen was in front of Lu Yi and hugged his sister in his arms. Lu Yi looked at the devil child in surprise. You are, brother? Lu Chen looked at the wounds on Lu Yi's arm with heartache and narrowed his eyes. Who did this? It's the half-beast. Hearing this name, Lu Chen's killing intent overflowed. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Ever since we were young, I couldn't bear to touch you, but they actually dared to hit you. Brother, you were running away at that time. Lu Chen was unable to restrain his anger. He helped Lu Yi to the side and raised his head. Only then did he realize that the people here were all from Earth. Those half-beasts actually wanted to take the opportunity to kill his people. I still wanted to spare your lives, but now it seems that I was too merciful. Lu Chen gritted his teeth and said, Man Tian, today, even if the gods came, they wouldn't be able to save you. Little Furball, I'll leave this place to you. Protect them well. As for those half-beasts, you can do whatever you want with them. A little white mouse jumped out. Looking at those muscular half-beasts, it couldn't help but swallow its saliva. Letting little Furball do whatever he wanted with them was probably the most terrifying punishment. Chapter 689. Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain. Suppressive Fire. The spiritual god cannon in Lu Chen's hand deformed, and the barrel split into 50 spiritual space cannons were fired at the immortal army in front of the execution platform. The culmination generals were still encircling Gu Fei and the others when they were suddenly hit by the spiritual cannons. The spiritual cannons enjoyed melee special effects, and Lu Chen's melee special effects were the split attack. The split attack had an area limitation, and the area of effect was not too big. The effect was almost negligible against huge bosses and exotic beasts, but it was absolutely devastating to these immortal soldiers. A space cannon attack could easily deal 2 or 3 billion damage. Even if the split attack had a damage reduction, it was still enough to kill these immortal soldiers. Boom, 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 boom. A series of dense cannons sounded, and the 50 space cannons exploded in the crowd like howitzers, directly blowing up a group of people. Whether it was ordinary soldiers, young celestial generals, or culmination generals, they all died upon contact. On the rostrum, the 4 celestial generals widened their eyes in shock. What kind of damage is this? Why does the spiritual cannons have such high damage? The spiritual cannons rely on the spiritual energy value to calculate the damage. The average person's spiritual energy is only in the tens of thousands. How can they deal 2 or 3 billion damage with one shot? And this is an area attack spiritual cannons, so the damage should be lower. In the end, not only are there so many cannons, but each of them also has an area attack effect. What level is this skill? Could it be higher than a heaven-level skill? Impossible, it's impossible for a level 4 to have such a skill. Logically speaking, a level 4 indeed did not have such a skill. Even if the spiritual space cannon was an advanced heaven-level skill, it still did not jump out of the category of a heaven-level skill. However, the horror was that the spiritual space cannon was in Lu Chen's hands. The fierce tiger descends the mountain and the combo attack made the suppressive fire of 5 cannons become 50 cannons. Lu Chen's many melee special effects made each of the spiritual cannons carry a lot of negative statuses, especially the split attack, which was especially prominent when fighting the immortal army. The immortal soldiers besieging the execution platform were mainly half-beasts, and there were at least tens of thousands of them. They were originally elites selected by their respective sex, but in front of Lu Chen's spiritual energy space cannon, they were no different from mobs. They were instantly killed. All of you die. Lu Chen roared furiously, spiritual energy storm. Fierce tiger descends the mountain, fire suppression. Boom, 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 boom. Another round of attacks blasted the execution platform apart. The corporeal bodies of the soldiers besieging the execution platform were directly blown to smithereens. More than half of the tens of thousands of people, including the young heavenly generals and Zhong heavenly generals, had died. What was shocking was that this was only the second round of solipsistic's attacks. Gu Fei and the others, who had fallen into a bitter battle, suddenly felt the pressure on them decrease sharply. When they looked around, the 4 of them were filled with shock. The surrounding area had been bombarded beyond recognition. Tens of thousands of immortal soldiers, who had been preparing to capture the criminals and reward them for their contributions, had died, and tens of thousands of them had fled to the spectators' stands. That guy isn't human. His spiritual energy cannon's attack can reach 4 billion. We'll all die in one shot. Why is he so strong? Isn't spiritual energy cannon a skill that no one wants? Why is he so strong? That guy used his physical body to injure us. He is going for the kill. On the rostrum, 4C's expedition was flabbergasted. That stinking brat's strength increased so quickly? It hasn't even been a year. Heavens, I have been fighting in the 4C's expedition for dozens of years, but I have never seen such a terrifying attack. This guy's battle prowess has already surpassed an army. Man Tian's expression was unsightly. 10 months ago, it was rumored that Solipsistic had fought with the demon race's great celestial general Holy War, Demon Venerable Holy War, and had almost died in battle. If the information was reliable, with so many soldiers expending their energy, he was confident that he could kill this guy. However, from the looks of it, Solipsistic's strength had once again increased by leaps and bounds during this period of time. If 50 shots of spiritual energy cannon hit a person, it would be over 100 billion damage. Even if he was a great celestial general, he would definitely not be able to endure such terrifying damage. Man Tian's breathing was somewhat hurried. He secretly said to his subordinate behind him, "Quickly, inform Battle God to come over. If Battle God doesn't come out, I'm afraid we won't be able to deal with this brat." The subordinate's eyes were filled with astonishment. "Great Celestial General, are you sure you want Battle God to come out? He is our trump card." Man Tian glanced at the battlefield. At this moment, Solipsistic had already walked towards the execution platform. He put away the spiritual god cannon and held the godly demon limitless sword in his hand. He placed a large number of ghost shadow doppelgangers in the crowd. Wherever he passed, ordinary soldiers would not be able to resist. I also didn't expect him to be so strong. Now, it seems that only Battle God can restrain that madman. The subordinate nodded. He turned around and quickly headed towards the teleportation gate. Primal Chaos Domain. Lu Chen shouted in a low voice. He took 9 steps in the air and returned to the execution platform. After taking a few steps, Lu Chen pulled Gu Fei and the other 3 to a place. "You guys go and protect my friends. My younger sister is inside. Leave this place to me. Triple gate. Lu Chen used the triple gate to teleport the four to Lu Yi's side. Furball? Yanran immediately noticed the furball that was eating at this place. That fellow's mouth was full of blood. When the surrounding beastmen saw this fellow, they frantically fled in all directions. Although Furball was a glutton, Boss had told it that its primary mission was to protect Boss's friends. Thus, it didn't chase too far. However, it changed its strategy. Now, it would directly bite off the legs of the beastmen. This way, they wouldn't be able to escape. In any case, Boss had said that it could do whatever it wanted with these beastmen. He wouldn't say anything about whether they were cruel or not. Thus, it would eat to its heart's content. After biting off the legs of these beastmen, it would pile them together. Then, it would lie in the pile and wantonly eat. Seeing this scene, even Lu Yi and the others were so frightened that their bodies trembled. Is this the president's war pet? So terrifying. Stardust didn't dare to look directly at it. Yanran looked at Lu Yi. This girl's forehead was somewhat similar to Lu Chen's human form. Needless to say, she was Lu Chen's younger sister. Yanran walked over and said, "Don't be afraid. That's Furball. Although it is indeed a little scary, it only listens to solipsistic. With it here, ordinary people wouldn't dare to come close." Gufei also walked over. The battle just now had already left the four of them covered in wounds. Lu Chen had asked them to come over and protect everyone. In the end, when they found out that Furball was here, the four of them understood that Solipsistic had asked them to come over and rest. Meeting for the first time, they still had to come over and say hello. "Hello, I am Bei Shui Gufei. Are you that madman's sister?" Lu Yi, Stardust, Xiao Yao Feng and the others were stunned for a moment. "Bei Shui Gufei? You are the #1 genius of the human race, Bei Shui Gufei?" Bei Shui Gufei said embarrassedly, "That's all in the past. Obviously, now you have seen that your brother is much stronger than me. The battle has just started and we are already no match for him. We couldn't help that madman much." Bei Shui Gufei was also being modest. In fact, it was because of them that Lu Chen had the chance to save Lu Yi and the others. Moreover, it was already quite difficult for the four of them to block the attack for a moment. It should be known that they had only been in the fourth heaven for 2 years. Dongfang Ji pursed his lip. "Gufei, when you compare, please don't bring that guy into the picture. That guy is not human at all." Moran smiled and said to Lu Yi, "Yes, if we don't count your brother, we are actually quite strong." Chapter 690. At first, Gufei and the others were worried about Lu Chen's safety, but when they saw the series of psionic cannons, they realized that they were overthinking. However, the tragic death of tens of thousands of people did not calm Lu Chen's anger. No matter how many realms there were, they could not do anything to Lu Chen in front of the chaotic realm. Solipsistic. A heavenly general of the half-orcs was furious and roared, "Let me tell you, your people have been killed by my people. That's right, I personally supervised them to build this execution platform, working day and night. Your burial place was built by your people. Isn't it interesting? I even ordered my men to kill them first. What's the use of being strong? You are only one person. Every day, I will find one of your people to whip." Lu Chen, who was in the midst of killing, suddenly stopped, his eyes filled with fog. He had already saved the Earth players. These 2 half-orcs might not know about it yet, but their words had successfully made Lu Chen even angrier. "I'm all ears." Lu Chen grabbed with both hands. The 2 half-orcs did not expect Lu Chen to have such a trick up his sleeve. Caught off guard, the 2 of them were directly grabbed by their throat. Tiger descends the mountain. Fire suppression. Lu Chen threw the 2 to the ground, raised the psionic cannons, and fired randomly. Not to mention these 2 half-orcs, even if it was the desolate god's war soul lying on the ground, it would be blasted into pieces by these hundreds of billions of attacks. When all 50 psionic cannons hit the two half-orcs, their forms had completely collapsed. A huge pit hundreds of meters deep appeared on the ground of the arena, which was specially used for the competition. Finally, the two beastmen were blasted to the point that not even dregs were left. "This is what happens to those who touch my people," Lu Chen said coldly. The immortal soldiers on the side, from the heavenly general to the ordinary soldiers, were scared out of their wits. 50 psionic cannons. This treatment was not something that ordinary people could enjoy, but probably no one wanted to be blasted into dust like this. Previously, the half-orc immortal army was the only half-orc immortal army that was still holding on, and there were only a few hundred of them left. "I'm all ears." Lu Chen grabbed the two half-orcs by their throats again. 9 void steps. In a flash, Lu Chen dragged the two half-orc generals and rushed to the rostrum. After landing, the 3,000 body instant slash, the two half-orcs fell in front of Man Tian. Lu Chen slightly raised his chin and looked at the terrified Man Tian. "I heard that when I was not here, you made half-orc," he said. He looked. "Very well, let's settle all our old grudges, shall we?" When Lu Chen stood in front of the 4 great heavenly generals, other than the 4 Seas expedition, the other 3 actually took half a step back at the same time. The 4 great heavenly generals of the immortal army were actually suppressed by Lu Chen's aura alone. "Solipsistic, you stop!" The nature fairy great heavenly general, Wood Spirit, no longer had the confidence to speak. "We can discuss your crime again. Why must you kill us?" "Yes, after all, we are allies." The dwarf great heavenly general, Firestone Starshine, was unable to look straight into Lu Chen's eyes. Lu Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Chen smiled and snorted. "Now you want to convict me again? What did you do before?" "Sorry, you don't have the qualifications to convict me. If you don't want to die, then scram. Only you, Man Tian, must die today." Man Tian swallowed a mouthful of saliva. "You, don't be too arrogant. Solipsistic, you are not invincible. You picked on half-orc immortal army. I already knew that you were targeting half-orc immortal army." "Targeting half-orc immortal army? It's you who don't know what's good for you. Don't think that I don't know what you did behind my back. Today, not only will you die, from now on, half-orc immortal army will be removed from the alliance." Man Tian's eyes were filled with shock as he said anxiously, "Why, what qualifications do you have to decide the matters of the immortal army?" Lu Chen snorted. "Why, back then, during the 4 Seas expedition, he was seriously injured and returned to the rear to recuperate. Coincidentally, he met someone who wanted to frame him. Previously, I was still thinking that the great heavenly general being seriously injured was a secret of the immortal army. How did the people in the rear know about it in advance? Until I met Flame Demon. He told me something. Back then, during the 4 Seas expedition, it was a half-orc who told him about it. Thinking about it again, with Beast Buddha's strength, he could have entered the immortal army long ago. However, he chose to stay in the sect and even targeted 4 Seas expedition. It was not hard to guess that half-orc immortal army was playing tricks in the dark. "I killed Beast Buddha and hindered your plan, so you targeted my clansmen." Man Tian opened his eyes wide and his expression changed. You are slandering me. Do you have evidence?" Lu Chen suddenly laughed heartily. "When you convicted me, did you use evidence? Since you don't need evidence, why should I? Even if I am wrong, just because you mistreated my clansmen, I will take your life." Seeing Lu Chen walking towards him step by step, Man Tian's breathing became more and more hurried. A solipsistic who was almost at his peak state could already fight evenly with the great heavenly general of the demon race a year ago. A year later, his strength had greatly increased and Man Tian was definitely not his opponent. Why would a monster like you appear in the human race? No, that's not right. You are definitely not from the human race. The human race is trash. Your strength is too strong. You can't be from the human race. Lu Chen sneered. I'm sorry, but you are about to die in the hands of the trash in your mouth. At this moment, Lu Chen suddenly sensed a fierce spiritual energy shooting towards him from afar. The speed and ferocity of the spiritual energy were shocking. Descend. Lu Chen hastily used his spiritual energy to descend and flashed into the distance. That spiritual energy missed its target and directly bombarded the spectator seats, causing them to explode. The entire building was easily split into two as if it was a piece of tofu. With a loud bang, the ground where the spirit force passed was cut open, leaving behind a huge trench after a moment of delay. The chasm was 2 to 3 meters in front of the four great heavenly generals. In other words, if Lu Chen had taken another step forward, he would have been split into two. Just a sword chi was already so terrifying. That is, extreme sword intent. Gu Fei's eyes revealed a frightened expression. Gu Fei, Lu Yi, and the others hastily looked towards the source of the spiritual energy. At this moment, a half-beastman wearing a grey robe and a bamboo hat was leisurely walking towards them from several hundred meters away. A sword chi from several hundred meters away actually forced Lu Chen to retreat. This person's strength was absolutely terrifying. No way it's him? Xian Shui Mu Lin widened his eyes and looked at Man Tian in disbelief. Half-beastman race's war god. You actually called him over. Man Tian sorted out his emotions. Just a moment ago, he had indeed lost control of himself. However, now that guy had come, there was no problem. Yes, solipsistic strength has indeed exceeded my expectations. However, how can the might of my immortal army be shaken by a single person? Since I said that he must die today, then he must die. The entire battlefield quieted down in an instant. In the distance, the half-beastman race's war god's voice sounded somewhat lazy. Man Tian, you can't even deal with a mere human trash? You, the great heavenly general, are truly regressing. Fine, I've also been bored for a long time. Today, I, the half-beastman race's war god, will meet you, the human race's war god. Chapter 691. Lu Chen looked coldly at the newcomer. His ID was sword raising. In the past, when he was chatting with Gu Fei and the others, Gu Fei had mentioned ultimate sword intent. The so-called ultimate sword intent was not a special effect. It was a battle state, similar to the state of mind that Lu Chen comprehended during his battle with Azura. In Empyrean, no matter how strong the special effects of the skills were, they still required a person to use them. A person's reaction, judgment, when people still thought that Empyrean was a simple online game, these things were called the player's operation. However, as Lu Chen walked step by step to level 4, he gradually understood that these operations were completely different from the traditional sense of relying on hand speed and brain coordination. This was a kind of battle ability. Today's battle was getting closer and closer to a real battle. Then, in a battle, the ability of a real fighter in all aspects would be able to affect the battle power of both sides. To put it simply, the ultimate sword intent separated the various sword-controlling skills and combined them to form a more coherent and sharp sword-controlling technique. Where the intent was, where the sword finger pointed, where the sword finger reached, there was nothing it could not overcome. Sword raising walked leisurely in front of Lu Chen. The gods of war of the two races stood facing each other. However, sword raising did not have a sword in his hand. It was really unknown how he used that sword energy just now. Sword raising's expression was arrogant as he slightly raised his chin. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You dare to touch my half-beast race. Today, however many half-beasts you kill, I will make as many holes in your body as possible. Lu Chen slightly narrowed his eyes. The pressure this person gave him was even greater than that of the holy battle of the Demon Lord. This person was not ordinary. You really don't know what's good for you. You humans were originally trash that relied on other races. No matter how we treated you, you should silently endure it. If we didn't agree to let you join the United Immortal Army, would you humans still have a foothold in Level 4? In the end, after raising a dog for so many years, you actually dared to have thoughts about its master. You deserve to be punished. Lu Chen slightly narrowed his eyes and coldly snorted. This is why you schemed to pull down the Four Seas expedition from the position of Great Heavenly General? So what if I am? The Four Seas expedition is indeed good at strategizing, but his personal strength is ultimately too weak, so he is not worthy of the position. Naturally, a stronger person should be qualified for the position of Great Heavenly General. Lu Chen couldn't help but laugh. When Man Tian saw me, he was so scared that he almost peed his pants. In your eyes, he should be qualified for the position of Great Heavenly General? The Immortal Army was originally created to fight against other immortal armies. But in the end, it became a special privilege for you. I think the reason why the Immortal Army is so chaotic is because of people like you. Foul atmosphere? Solipsistic. In the Jiutian, strength was everything. There was no exception. If you have the strength, you should enjoy better treatment. Because of the expedition to the Four Seas, you humans have already enjoyed treatment that does not match your strength, but you are still not satisfied. As for us half-beastmen, we should have at least 2 great heavenly generals in the Immortal Army. Only this is in line with our status as half-beastmen. Qing Jian was equally arrogant. He actually said these words in front of so many people and even admitted that the ones who framed the expedition to the Four Seas were the half-beastmen. However, at this moment, the other 2 great heavenly generals and the other great heavenly generals did not dare to question him. Lu Chen looked at the silent generals around him and couldn't help but find it funny. They could accept the half-beastmen being so arrogant and despotic. They might even have known that Man Tian was aiming for the position of Great Heavenly General. However, with Qing Jian overseeing the half-beastmen, they could only acquiesce to this situation. So it is like this. Lu Chen shook his head and smiled. Very good. Isn't it just strength being respected? Then it will save me a lot of trouble. Now, there is only one thing I need to do. Qing Jian looked down at Lu Chen and smiled. That's right. What you need to do is to kill me. Then, the half-beastmen will be at your disposal. Unfortunately, you, the so-called strongest newcomer of the human race, are just an ant in front of me. Lu Chen sneered. Draw your sword. Draw my sword? Ha 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 ha. Trash like you are not qualified to see my sword. Solipsistic, I don't mind telling you that you are not even qualified to make me move a step. In the United Immortal Army competition arena, everyone could not help but step back to make room for the 2 experts. Lu Yi looked at her brother nervously. She had not seen her brother fight for a long time. However, the 4th celestial layer was different from the past. The battle here could affect the real world. This was a real life and death battle. Moreover, her brother's opponent was the half-beastman war god who could cover the sky with one hand. Gu Fei's breathing was rapid. He looked at the battlefield without blinking. As someone who was also good at using the sword, he understood the terror of the ultimate sword intent. Could Solipsistic break it? The people on Earth were so nervous that they could not breathe. This would be a battle they had never seen before. Mad God was an invincible existence on Earth, and he was already a top-notch expert in the human race. However, the cruelty of the 9 heavens was that until now, there were still stronger opponents appearing. In a sense, how far Mad God could go represented how far Earth's players could go in the future. Of course, if Mad God lost this battle, the half-beastmen would regain power and even gain more power than before. The fate of these people and the players on Earth who entered the 4th celestial layer would not be good. This was a battle that concerned the future development of Earth. The battle between the 2 war gods would determine the survival of the 2 races. Sky General Pingyun whispered to 4C's expedition, "Great Sky General, what are the chances of Solipsistic winning?" "I can't say for sure. I have not seen Solipsistic's strongest ability. However, no matter how strong he is, to win it will be difficult." 4C's expedition frowned. In the arena, the air seemed to have frozen. Sky Bearing's hands hung down naturally. It was obvious that he was ready to attack at any time. By Lu Chen's side, the limitless sword hung in the air. His eyes stared at every subtle movement of the sword. Any movement could very well be a killing move. Everyone's heartstrings were on the verge of breaking. Suddenly, no one saw Sky Bearing's movements. An invisible air wave had already shot towards Lu Chen. The sword energy was so fast that it was almost impossible to catch it with the naked eye. What a fast sword energy! He doesn't even need to use his sword fingers. He has truly achieved the ultimate sword intent. Gu Fei caught this moment. As a swordsman himself, he was already shocked by Sky Bearing's attack. Not good, there's no way to dodge at this speed. However, Lu Chen also moved at this time. He did not dodge the opponent's attack. Instead, he used the mountain-splitting strength and the triple gate. One was a killing move, while the other was a control move. Under the triple gate's teleportation, the huge shadow of the mountain-splitting strength had completely ignored the concept of space. It jumped around crazily and arrived in front of Sky Bearing in the blink of an eye. Sky Bearing snorted. Using offense as defense? Was this a suicidal way of fighting? Unfortunately, you are still too far away. Sky Bearing sword art. Formation breaking. Chapter 692. Countless sword chi turned into a sword shadow and directly blasted towards the afterimage of Splitting Hua Mountain. With a loud bang, the two skills collided, and the aftershock caused a huge wave. He actually cancelled out Splitting Hua Mountain? Gu Fei frowned. This god of war had said that he would kill Solipsistic without moving. Now it seemed that he had the ability to do so. Just as Qingjian broke through Splitting Hua Mountain, Lu Chen also dodged the sword chi. The sword chi directly swept behind him, and the audience in the distance suffered again. Qingjian looked at Solipsistic, who was standing in front of him again, and narrowed his eyes. "So, you're not fighting to the death. Your goal just now was to distract me so that you could avoid my heart-piercing sword," Lu Chen said indifferently. "Fight to the death? You think you're worthy? Ultimate sword intent is nothing more than this." 4C's expedition narrowed his eyes. It seemed that Qingjian had displayed extremely terrifying strength in this exchange. His attacks were sharp and could even break Lu Chen's skills. However, all of this didn't seem to be out of Solipsistic's expectations. On the contrary, he had already calculated all of this. He pretended to fight to the death, but in fact, it was just to let himself easily avoid the sword chi. Experts often saw things differently from ordinary people. Even nature elf Celestial General Magnetite Wood Spirit couldn't help but sigh. This kid is too calm. Any trace of negligence in front of him will become the key to turning the situation around. It's really scary. Dwarf Celestial General Firestone Starshine was still staring at the battle. Even if he did the details to the extreme, I'm afraid it's still not enough to win Qingjian. You and I both know Qingjian's strength very well. He's still toying with Solipsistic. As a god of war, it was an insult to be tricked by others. Qingjian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Solipsistic, you've successfully angered me. Don't think that you can be presumptuous in front of me just because you avoided my sword. Next, I'll play with you properly. Ultimate sword intent, 1000 sword meteor. Suddenly, a large amount of sword chi shot towards Lu Chen from all directions at the same time from various angles. Let's see how you're going to break my ultimate sword intent. Qingjian's eyes widened in anger. I'm going to poke you into a sieve. The extreme sword intent was so fast that it was hard to see it with the naked eye. Lu Chen let out a low shout. Heaven's Eye! The Heaven's Eye on his forehead opened. Together with his evil child face, he looked more like a ghost general. However, the strength of sword intent was that it could change the trajectory of sword chi at will. Even the Heaven's Eye could not give an accurate judgment of the skill. The Heaven's Eye's current use is to distinguish the sword chi itself through the flow of spirit chi, and not to provide an early warning, Beishue Gufei muttered. He had already placed himself in this battle between war gods. No matter which side he represented, such a battle was extremely attractive to a sword maniac like him. Through the Heaven's Eye, Lu Chen could better capture the trajectory of the sword chi. There were at least 1,000 sword chi here, moving without any pattern. They were scattered in front and behind, almost sealing off all escape routes in the space. 9 void steps. Lu Chen snorted coldly. He stepped on the void, and a miniature vortex appeared under his feet, disrupting the trajectory of the sword chi. At this moment, Qing Jian suddenly raised his sword finger and shouted, "You're still far from being able to play with vortexes in front of me." Shattering void sword. Everyone was shocked. This guy could shatter the void too. It seemed that this guy had come out of the vortex world before, and what he obtained was not a fist technique, but a sword technique. How could the war god of beastmen not have legendary experiences and opportunities? A stream of sword chi shot out directly towards Lu Chen's calf. Shattering the void had the effect of breaking the void. Lu Chen knew better than anyone how powerful it was. However, what everyone didn't expect was that in the face of the shattering void sword that shot over, Lu Chen didn't dodge or evade, and directly shattered the void to meet it. 2 super high attack skills from the same root collided in midair. With a loud bang, the sky shook, and the surrounding buildings shook. A huge energy ball appeared in the center of the battlefield. The skills of both sides continued to consume each other. Shattering Void Sword and Shattering Void Sword are essentially the same skill. Both sides cannot suppress each other. After the collision, it depends on whose attack is stronger. For C's expedition widened his eyes. But Solipsistic actually clashed with Qing Jian. Qing Jian uses sword intent. Unless Solipsistic has absolute confidence in winning, he will be at a disadvantage. The huge energy ball directly exploded in the field. The scene was swept by a violent storm of spiritual energy. The surrounding audience seats were directly destroyed. Boulders rolled and the wind whistled. At this moment, a red shadow flashed and appeared in front of Qing Jian. Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain. Although Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain was the most primitive low-level skill, the scary thing was that it was now in the hands of Lu Chen. Facing Solipsistic's Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain, Qing Jian did not dare to meet it head-on. He quickly used a displacement skill. Instant Sword Shadow. Qing Jian was already 100 meters away in the blink of an eye. Lu Chen actually pounced on empty air. However, Lu Chen did not pursue. He stood in place and looked at Qing Jian with a faint smile. "Hey, didn't you say that you wouldn't move? Why are you running faster than a rabbit?" At this moment, countless immortal army soldiers, generals, and even the 4 great heavenly generals were already stunned. In the collision of Shattering Void, there was no doubt that Solipsistic had won. Moreover, he still had energy left. The moment the energy ball exploded, he flashed in front of Qing Jian and launched an attack. In other words, Solipsistic had the absolute advantage in the collision of the same skill. At this moment, Qing Jian's face was livid. The words he boasted a few minutes ago were now slapped in the face. Not only did he move, but he also moved more than 100 meters, all along. He said that he was teasing the war god of the human race. However, the truth was that he was led by the nose by the other party in both fights. You used the moment when I used Shattering Void to attack when my spiritual energy was empty. That was why you forced me to move." Lu Chen laughed. I say, war god of the half-beast race, your fighting skills are ordinary, but your ability to twist words and force logic can really be sealed as a god. What? You mean that I have to wait until you are ready to attack? You and I both used Shattering Void, and our spiritual energy was empty. How can I attack you, but you can only run? You said that humans are trash. Now I want to ask you, how are you better than humans? You can't compare to me in terms of scheming, Shattering Void attacks can't compare to me, and you are suppressed by me in every aspect. Where did you get the confidence to say that humans are trash? Oh, that's right, your skin is thicker than mine. I am ashamed of my inferiority in this aspect. I really don't know how you got the title of War God. So among the half-beast race, a trash like you can be the War God. Then if I go, won't I be War God Daddy? The battle between the two war gods had not been decided yet, but Lu Chen's words had already dispelled the resentment in the hearts of many humans. Good, scold him until he bleeds. Stardust slapped Xiao Yao Feng's thigh and said fiercely, "Oh, Stardust, that's my leg. I'm seriously injured, okay?" Xiao Yao Feng howled in grief. Sorry, it's just that watching our president fight was too satisfying. For a moment, I got carried away. Sorry. Chapter 693. Solipsistic, don't be arrogant. Qing Jian's gaze turned cold. You dare to look down on me, I will make you pay the price. As he spoke, Qing Tian raised one hand and slowly pulled out a treasure sword from the void. When the black-purple sword slowly rose into the air, countless people present felt a resonance between their weapons and the sword. It's the Star Emperor Mystic Light Sword. It's the #1 immortal weapon in the fourth heaven. It's been a long time since I saw Qing Tian use this sword. I didn't expect to see it today. When the Star Emperor sword appears, all weapons will submit. This sword is close to producing a weapon spirit. The #1 weapon in the fourth heaven seemed to be the ruler of the world. Countless weapons trembled in front of him. However, the divine demon limitless sword in Lu Chen's hand did not submit. Sensing the appearance of a challenger, the limitless sword shone brightly, as if announcing that it was the strongest weapon. Boss, I want to swallow the Star Emperor sword. The voice of the limitless sword's weapon spirit rang in Lu Chen's mind. This guy did not speak easily, but this time, it spoke, indicating that this guy was excited. Lu Chen smiled faintly. Got it? With the sword speaking, Qing Tian regained his confidence. Without saying anything, he launched a fierce attack. Shatter the Milky Way. The Star Emperor sword suddenly revealed a huge image and shot towards Lu Chen. So fast. 4C's expedition narrowed his eyes. This is Qing Tian's true speed, as fast as lightning. Ghostly shadows. Lu Chen quickly descended and dodged the attack. Spatial spiritual energy cannon. One was controlling a sword, and the other was using spiritual energy to launch a long-range attack. The spiritual energy cannon and sword chi collided in the air, creating explosions. Everyone felt the ground shaking. The speed of the extreme sword intent was too fast, and it could change at will. It was hard to catch, and if one was not careful they would be hit. Demon Doppelganger. Lu Chen created a doppelganger and coordinated with the ghostly shadows to change positions. Naive, your doppelganger is useless against me. Meteor Sword Art, Star Flash. Several sword chi attacked a doppelganger at the same time, instantly forming a pincer attack. Then, 5 sword chi attacked at the same time, causing a large amount of damage. In the middle of the 5-star area formed by the sword chi, spiritual energy collided, creating a violent explosion. All of this happened too quickly. In the eyes of the people in the distance, they only saw a flash of sword chi and a doppelganger. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Whoosh whoosh. 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 Whoosh 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 whoosh. 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 whoosh, whoosh whoosh, 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 whoosh down, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh whoosh whoosh, whoosh whoosh, 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 whoosh 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 whoosh, 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 whoosh. Qing. After using the Star Emperor sword, Qing Jian's attack has increased by a lot. I thought he was at a disadvantage just now, but it turns out that he didn't use his full strength at all. Countless sword qi crisscrossed in the air. Lu Chen could only avoid the other party's attack by using the 9 void steps, but his doppelganger was directly killed by Qing Jian in just 1 minute. The situation took a turn for the worse. Solipsistic, you're not qualified to fight with us half-beast race. Qing Jian roared angrily and turned into a stream of light, shooting towards Lu Chen. Sword Heart Heaven's Might. Qing Jian unleashed his innate divine power, Sword Heart Godly Power. It increased the damage of sword skills by 200%. Meteor Sword Art, Sword Heart Strike. Go to hell. At this time, Qing Jian's body had almost merged with the Star Emperor sword. Like an aurora, he pierced towards Lu Chen's chest. Everyone's breathing had stopped. Next would be the final battle between these two. Lu Chen's eyes were about to split open. The other party seemed to be in the Imperial Sword astral form state and couldn't target him. The Origin Divine Demon Heart Sutra could ignore the astral form of professions. But first, you had to hit the other party's astral form. Origin Attack Change. Lu Chen changed his spirit core to the Origin Spirit Core. This way, as long as he hit the other party, even if the other party was in the astral form state, he could still cause damage. Heaven-defying demonic power. Lu Chen also used the innate divine power skill, and his attributes directly soared by 1.6 million points. 1.6 million points. This time, Lu Chen added all of them to agility. This was once the most useless attribute, but in fact, as Lu Chen obtained more and more attributes, its performance became more and more obvious. Now that he added another 1.6 million points, Lu Chen's agility reached a terrifying 2.7 million points. Now Lu Chen's speed had reached the peak. Both his attack and movement speed were the same. Flash shot. Lu Chen added another chip, increasing his speed to the extreme. Now that Qing Jian's body and the Star Emperor sword were one, his speed was beyond what the naked eye could see. Lu Chen couldn't lock onto the high-speed Star Emperor sword, so he also couldn't lock onto Qing Jian. Single-target attacks were already ineffective, and in this situation, he could only rely on group attacks. Infinite Great Ravager Sweep. After activating the Origin Attack Change, even the lowest level of Great Ravager Sweep would not be suppressed by the other party and could force the other party to move. However, Great Ravager Sweep's level was too low, and its damage was very limited. It was almost impossible to block Qing Jian's strongest attack. Buddha Body Voice Change, 3 heads 6 arms. Lu Chen split into 3 and waved Great Ravager Sweep at the same time, threatening the other party. You want to hit me with this kind of low-level sword qi? Dream on. Qing Jian's mind moved, and thousands of sword qi turned around, targeting Lu Chen. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Countless sword qi had already turned into a rain of swords, sealing off all of Lu Chen's escape routes and shooting towards Lu Chen. The corner of Qing Tian's mouth rose slightly. Solipsistic, from today onwards, you can't be arrogant anymore. Die for me. Brother. Lu Yi shouted loudly. The sword qi and the weapon's attack are perfectly fused, and it's hard to distinguish between the real and the fake. Qing Tian has already fused the ultimate sword intent into every skill. Now that his star body and the Star Emperor sword are one, the person is one, and the sword is one. It's impossible to lock onto him. Gu Fei frowned, his face full of worry. On the battlefield, the battle between the two war gods had already entered a white-hot stage. Both of their speeds were extremely fast. Qing Tian's sword qi was extremely difficult to understand and endless. Now that he had the Star Emperor sword, its power was even greater. And the real killing move was not the sword qi, but the sword heart attack. On Solipsistic's side, he could only rely on the 9 void steps to dodge the opponent's sword qi. While using the Great Ravager to force the opponent to move, he was also being affected by the sword qi. The surrounding spectator seats were destroyed by the residual power of their attacks, leaving behind only damaged and abandoned buildings. The ground was riddled with gaping fissures, and the ground was already riddled with holes. However, the spectators couldn't care less about this, as they were all looking at Qing Jian's sword heart attack. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the sword heart attack accurately pierced the chest of one of Lu Chen's Buddha body doppelgangers. As long as one of the 3 doppelgangers with 3 heads and 6 arms doesn't die, the main body can jump between the 3 doppelgangers and survive. Now that one of Solipsistic's Buddha body doppelgangers is crippled, there are still 2 left. Man Tian coldly said, "Solipsistic, you can't be so naive as to think that you can fool Qing Jian with 3 heads and 6 arms, right? If you can't break Qing Jian's sword heart, no matter how many of your Buddha body doppelgangers you have, they will all die." Chapter 694. The Saraira beads were snatched from the beast Buddha. The half-beast race seemed to be very familiar with the 3 heads, 6 arms technique. After destroying one of Lu Chen's Buddha avatars, Jianxin's attack did not stop and continued to shoot towards the other 2 avatars. "Ha ha ha ha, kid, do you feel helpless? This is the difference between you and me. The current me is invincible." For Lu Chen to be able to avoid the other sword qi was already using up all his strength, let alone this sword heart attack, which was the fastest. Sure enough, a moment later, Jianxin seized the opportunity and pierced another avatar's lower abdomen. Gu Fei's eyes widened. Not good, they know the secret of the 3 heads, 6 arms technique. Now Mad God only has 1 avatar left. This was not the main point. The main point was that Solipsistic had no chance of fighting back. Jianxin's attack was too fast. With the last avatar, did Mad God have a chance to turn the tables? At least the others did not see the slightest possibility. However, just as Jianxin and Star Emperor sword shot out from the second Buddha avatar and shot towards the 3rd avatar, the avatar behind suddenly turned around. "Who told you that I'm not in this avatar? I'm all ears." Hearing this voice, everyone's jaws almost drop. According to normal logic, when faced with Jianxin's attack that could not be countered, Solipsistic would definitely hide in the last Buddha avatar. However, who would have thought that lone tyrant would actually do the exact opposite? Not only that, but he was also hiding inside the second Buddha body. He did not hesitate to be heavily injured and used Jianxin's inertia to kill the last Buddha avatar and control Jianxin in one fell swoop. Without great courage, who would dare to do this? The 3 heavenly generals of the human race, nature elf race, and dwarf race could no longer remain calm. "That guy is really a lunatic. He. Heavens, if I were Jianxin, I would also be tricked by him. Is this something a normal person can do?" Everyone thought that he was in the last Buddha avatar. It's also because of this that he had the chance to seize the moment when Jianxin was careless. This kind of performance can only be described as amazing. It's really amazing. For C's expedition let out a long sigh. This brat, even in such a dangerous situation, he could still maintain such a calm mind. He came up with a countermeasure at the first moment and even executed it successfully. This is simply too terrifying. To think that I said that I would give him time to grow. He is already qualified to be a great heavenly general. Ping Yun looked at the great heavenly general in surprise. He had followed the great heavenly general for so many years and had seen the great heavenly general appreciate many young people, but he had never seen the great heavenly general give such a high evaluation. A year ago, when he first met Solipsistic, he was already qualified for the position of Great Heavenly General. At that time, he had just reached the 4th heavenly layer. Sword Wielder was stunned. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that the second doppelganger he pierced through was actually Solipsistic's main body. Ever since Lone Tyrant had killed the first Buddha doppelganger, he had only given the doppelganger a sure-kill blow. However, he had not completely destroyed the doppelganger. This was also a sign of his carelessness. Under normal circumstances, it would not have been a big deal. However, today, Lone Tyrant had taken advantage of his carelessness. That guy was sure that the first Buddha avatar would not be instantly annihilated, so he dared to hide in the second doppelganger. However, at this time, he did not have time to react. A powerful suction force came from behind him, and his astral body and Star Emperor sword were sucked behind him at the same time. It seems that you are not completely dead. You dare to hide in this doppelganger. See if I don't kill you completely. Sword Wielder was naturally not afraid of the heavily injured Lu Chen. He turned around and stabbed. Although this Buddha avatar was heavily injured, Lu Chen's body was not injured. His skills were not affected at all, and he directly grabbed Sword Wielder. Sorry, have you heard? Don't let me get close, just like you. I am a sword-controlling astral body. What can you do to me? If you are not afraid of me, why did you dodge my great Ravager's sweep? Don't bluff with me. The one I am going to kill is your sword-controlling astral body. After saying that, Lu Chen grabbed the godly demon Limitless sword and shot towards the Star Emperor sword. Mountain-splitting strength. The godly demon Limitless sword transformed into the illusion of the 9 dragon pillars of heavenly punishment and smashed down. -12 million. The damage was not high, and it seemed that there was no stun effect. After all, Sword Wielder was now attached to the Star Emperor sword. His astral body might be immune to stun. However, in the end, he still dealt damage, which meant that Lu Chen could now deal damage to astral bodies. Solipsistic, when the effect of Listen with Respect ends, it will be the time of your death. Sword Wielder shouted. Lu Chen smiled slightly. You think that you will be fine if you don't get stun? I'm afraid you don't know that when I hit you, I don't need stun at all. Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain. Lu Chen used Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain. In addition to being immune to the poison damage, he received 10 damage, plus 10 earth elemental damage that increased his maximum HP, dealing 1.7 billion damage. Sword Wielder's astral body was directly broken, and he fell out of the Star Emperor sword. He spat out several mouthfuls of blood and collapsed to the ground. The Star Emperor sword and the surrounding sword auras lost control and fell from the sky or dissipated. After receiving 1.7 billion damage, Sword Wielder actually did not die. It was unknown how many health-increasing pills he had taken in the past. However, Sword Wielder had suffered serious physical damage. At this moment, he fell to the ground. He wanted to stand up, but his legs did not listen to him and trembled violently. Lu Chen's remaining 2 Buddha body clones reunited and slowly walked in front of Sword Wielder. Sword Wielder looked at Lu Chen, his eyes filled with horror. That's impossible. I've clearly pierced through your Buddha body clone. Even if I did not expect you to hide in the second Buddha body clone, you could not have taken my attack. Lu Chen smiled slightly. Are you stupid? Why can't I wait for you to pierce through the clone before transferring into this clone? When these words came out, the 4 heavenly generals were also taught a lesson. Just now, they all thought that Lu Chen was staking everything on one throw and had been hiding in the second clone all along. Who knew that this guy had actually transferred over at the last moment? I already thought of a way to deal with you, but when I descended into the first Buddha body clone, I did not have time to catch you. However, I also calculated your speed. You're using your ultimate sword intent to seal my movements, But aren't I using my great Ravager to seal yours as well? So, after I confirmed which clone you were going to kill next, I arrived on top of the clone as soon as you pierced through its body. This way, I could avoid any damage to my physical body, and with the experience of my first failure, I finally caught you. Once I catch you, I don't care if you are a half-beast war god or a war god. The outcome will be the same. At this point, everyone finally understood solipsistic's operation. Gufei shook his head vigorously. This guy, he already thought of a countermeasure, but not a single one of us saw through it. Dongfeng Ji let out a long sigh. Moran, the three of us said that solipsistic's battle techniques were not something a human should have, but you did not believe us. You insisted that his techniques were strong and his attributes were high. Now you finally believe us, right? I really don't want to meet an opponent like him again. If you fight with him, you will realize that not only is your strength suppressed, but your intelligence is also suppressed. He will beat you until you seriously doubt your life. Moran nodded heavily. All right, this time I really believe you. Chapter 695. Facing the pitch-black muzzle of the spiritual god cannon, Qing Jian did not even have the chance to speak. Ma Shan enjoyed the treatment of 50 spiritual god cannons. The Beastman War God did not receive any special treatment and was blasted to the point that not even a speck of dust remained. This guy, it's fine if he doesn't make a move, but when he does, he is so ruthless that it makes one's scalp numb. Ping Yun could not help but shake his head. After seeing Lu Chen's methods, who would dare to provoke him in the future? 4C's expedition faintly smiled. He is such a person. He treats his friends with sincerity, but towards his enemies, he is even more ruthless than his enemies. Unknowingly, 3 of the 4 great heavenly generals had already retreated a few steps. Only Man Tian was still immersed in a huge shock. When he woke up, he discovered that he was the only one left on the rostrum. At this time, that fiend had already arrived in front of him. Even Qing Jian was not his opponent. When Man Tian saw Lu Chen, he was already scared out of his wit. This was another advantage of Lu Chen being ruthless. He could make a ruthless person feel fear from the bottom of their heart. You, solipsistic, there is a misunderstanding between us. Misunderstanding? Lu Chen looked at Man Tian with a smile that was not a smile. Man Tian, Qing Jian is dead, but he is still a man. He still dares to admit what he did. How can you, a great heavenly general, shrink back? How can you lead troops to fight? If you were captured, wouldn't you have confessed everything? No, I really. Man Tian suddenly knelt in front of Lu Chen. I beg you, solipsistic, I know that you are chivalrous and righteous, so please spare my life. Lu Chen could not help but laugh. Chivalrous and righteous? Man Tian, are you sure you are talking about me? Yes, it is definitely you. Lu Chen shook his head. No, you previously said that I was a traitor. Your attitude changed too quickly, and I can't take it. I was wrong before. I was blind. I distorted the truth. I beg you, spare me. Lu Chen slowly raised the spiritual deity cannon. It's impossible for me to forgive you. I'm not chivalrous at all, and I'm especially vengeful. What's more, you're indeed unforgivable. Suddenly, killing intent exploded in Lu Chen's eyes. How dare you touch my sister? Do you think you still have a chance to live? Suppressive fire. Boom, 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 boom. The rostrum instantly exploded, and Man Tian didn't even have the courage to resist. He was directly blasted into smithereens by Lu Chen. However, this matter was not over yet. Lu Chen looked at 4C's Yuanjing. Brother Yuanjing, do me a favor. Find out who was involved in the operation against the Earthlings. Don't miss a single one. None of you who dared to touch my clansmen shall live. The 4C's expedition had always protected the Earthlings and paid special attention to the Earthlings. He believed that he would not miss out on this matter. Brother Du Quang, don't worry about this matter. I'll get someone to investigate it thoroughly for you. Many thanks. The elf and dwarf heavenly generals looked on helplessly as a commoner executed a heavenly general. The shock in their hearts couldn't be any greater. This guy is too scary, isn't that so? Fortunately, we didn't participate. Pass down the order. In the future, if any Earthlings come to the immortal army, they must inform me immediately. Originally, it was supposed to be a meeting to pronounce Lu Chen's crimes. Now, it had become Lu Chen's execution of the sinners of the Orc race. The Orc war god was killed, and Man Tian was executed. At this moment, more than half of the Orc race had died. At this moment, the Orc race's vitality had been greatly damaged. No one dared to look at Lu Chen's eyes. 4C's Yuanzheng walked in front of Lu Chen and said, Brother Du Quang, there's something I want to discuss with you. When 4C's Yuanzheng wasn't around, he had been protecting the Earthlings. Moreover, Lu Chen's relationship with 4C's Yuanzheng wasn't bad. Hearing 4C's Yuanzheng's words, the evil aura in Lu Chen's eyes dissipated, and he turned back into his human form. Brother Yuanzheng, there's no need to be so polite. What's the matter? A second ago, he was still a death god. In the next second, Lu Chen had become amiable and approachable. Brother Du Quang, previously you said that the Orc race would be removed from the immortal army. Can this matter be delayed? Lu Chen slightly frowned. They were the ones who schemed against you. Are you sure you want to keep them? 4C's Yuanzheng shook his head. The ones who truly schemed against you are Man Tian and the others. I've already investigated it, and it coincides with your conjecture. Therefore, I didn't stop you from killing Man Tian. However, there are still many commoners in the Orc race who don't know about this matter. If they are expelled from the immortal army, they might not be able to survive. After a moment of silence, Lu Chen said, Brother Yuanzheng, forgive me for not being able to agree to this matter. After today's matter, even if they are commoners, they will still hold a grudge against me. I don't mind it, but if I keep them in the immortal army, they might become disloyal. Lu Chen said, Moreover, the Orc race, from top to bottom, has been ruthless to my people. I won't let this matter rest. But our immortal army's strength can only be considered average among the 9 camp. If we lose the Orc race, I'm afraid, Brother Yuanzheng, don't worry. Before I leave, I will deal with the matters of the 9 camp. 2.5 months later, the 9 camps will come to watch the battle between me and Extreme E Netherglow. At that time, I will give you a satisfactory answer. Since Lu Chen said so, 4C's Yuanzheng could only give up. After the battle, the immortal army's headquarters was about to turn into ruins. The headquarters might need to be rebuilt in another place. However, there should be no need for Earth's players to be coolies. A figure rushed over from afar and pounced into Lu Chen's embrace, hugging him tightly. Brother! Hearing this voice, Lu Chen's eyes were no longer filled with killing intent. His gaze softened. Fatty, I'm sorry. Brother made you suffer. Lu Yi's face was filled with tears as she shook her head. Brother, it's good that you're fine. You really scared me to death. Xing Chen, Xiao Yaofeng, Gu Fei, and Yen Ran also walked over. President, I finally know why Mountain Strength and the others like to call you crazy. You're really crazy. Xing Chen said excitedly. The battle just now was really exciting. It was both real and fake. It was unexpected. It really opened my eyes. Isn't that so? I haven't seen Mad God in battle for a long time. Today I realized that Mad God is indeed Mad God. He's still so strong even at level 4. Lu Chen smiled and patted Xing Chen's shoulder. Why are you guys at level 4? I thought you guys were at level 3. Now that Earth is concentrating resources to nurture us, didn't pills that increase attributes appear at level 3? That's why we had the chance to come up so quickly. Lu Chen nodded. Although the pills at level 3 could only increase attributes by 10, Earth was strong because they had so many people. The sect store at level 4 had pills that increased attributes by 100. If more people from Earth came up, the development of Earth's players would be even faster. Nuan Nua, Ning Shuang, 10 Steps, and the others? President is still at level 3. Most of Mad Wave's people are at level 3. She needs to lead the team down there. Is level 3 still peaceful? It's quite stable. The other races don't dare to provoke us humans now. Lu Chen had been at level 4 for more than 3 years. He really missed his old friends. Chapter 696. In Jiutian, strength was the most important thing. After the battle at the headquarters of the Immortal Army, no one mentioned Lu Chen's crimes anymore. Not only that, but the half-beast race was also kicked out of the Immortal Army. As for where they would go in the future, that would depend on their own luck. The Four Seas expedition captured the people who had abused the players from Earth. What awaited them was naturally military punishment. Lu Chen, Lu Yi, and the others stayed in Gufei's camp for the time being. That guy was now a heaven general and had soldiers in his hands. Yanran, Dongfang Ji, and Moran were all with him. Lu Chen and the Earthlings stayed here as if it was their own home. One day, Nan Tian and Elder Ling came to find Lu Chen. Brother Lone Tyrant, we want to erect a statue in the sect. It can also be considered an advertisement. What do you think? Statue? Lu Chen's eyes were filled with astonishment. No need. Wouldn't it be too ostentatious? It's not ostentatious. How can it compare to you directly changing the military laws of the Immortal Army? Elder Ling said with a smile. Actually, erecting the statue is mainly to attract more experts and newcomers to the sect and make the sect famous. Lu Chen blinked his eyes. Then whatever. By the way, Brother Nan Tian, can my compatriots enter the extreme immortal sect? They were forced to join the Immortal Army. Currently, their strength needs to be honed. The sect dungeon can provide some equipment and they can learn some battle technique. It will be helpful for them. Of course, Nan Tian said excitedly. Of course we welcome them. Don't give them any special treatment. Pampering them will only be detrimental to them. Don't worry about this. I will treat them all equally. Whether or not they can grow will depend on their own efforts. Lu Chen nodded. If his Earthlings could enter the extreme immortal sect, he would be more at ease. By the way, Brother Lone Tyrant, I heard that in 2.5 months, you will have a battle with extreme Netherglow. Is that true? Nan Tian asked with concern. Lu Chen nodded. It's true. But I've heard that no one has been able to kill the extreme Netherglow. I'm not doubting your strength, but if you challenge the Tong Tian Tower normally, as long as you obtain the approval of the extreme Netherglow, you'll be able to pass. Lu Chen shook his head and said, others can pass the level after getting the approval of the lunar Netherglow, but I think I'll get special treatment. I made a 1-year agreement with it, and now there are only 2 months left. So that's how it is. Brother Du Kuang, are you confident? Not at the moment, but there are still more than 2 months left. After 2 months, I will settle things with it. Big Brother Nantian, if possible, bring my sister and the others back to the sect as soon as possible. I don't want them to see my battle. Nantian's heart tightened when he heard Lu Chen's words. Solipsistic meant that he really had no confidence. Therefore, he didn't want his clansmen to worry about him. Don't worry, I'll set off in 2 days to take them away. But old Brother Du Kuang, you must be careful. I will. Thank you. It was rare for him to meet Lu Yi in the game. He still remembered that in the past, Lu Chen would secretly turn on his invisibility, touch Lu Yi, and poison her to death. Several years had passed, and Lu Yi was no longer poisoned to death so easily. The silly girl had grown up, and she had already become one of the top players on Earth. You guys return to the extreme immortal sect and cultivate well. Don't mention my name, you guys will have to rely on yourselves. Lu Chen said to Lu Yi, Stardust, and the others. Guild leader, don't worry, we won't let you down, Stardust said. Lu Yi pulled on Lu Chen's hand, seemingly reluctant to let go. However, Lu Yi was not a spoiled girl. In the end, she let go of Lu Chen's arm and said, Brother, don't spend all your time in the game. If you have time, come eat with me. Speaking of which, it was interesting. The siblings lived next door, but they hadn't seen each other for a long time. I know. In 2 months, I'll find time to take you out to eat Old Sue's barbecue. That's a promise. If you dare stand me up, I'll pull out your cable. Pulling out the cable was obviously the most ruthless move. Even Lu Chen was afraid of it as he watched his friends leave with Nan Tian and the others. Nan Tian kept looking back. There were a few times when he wanted to say something, but he stopped. However, in the end, he didn't say anything, keeping the secret between him and Lu Chen a secret. After this farewell, he didn't know when he would see them again. He didn't know if he would see a pair of siblings happily eating barbecue at Old Sue's barbecue 2 months later. Madman, aren't you going to tell your sister? Gu Fei walked over. He was now calling Lu Chen a madman, just like Li Beishan and the others. Lu Chen shook his head. If I tell her now, that girl probably won't be able to sleep for 2 months. Dongfang Ji suddenly said, Don't worry, if you die, I'll help you take care of your sister. Lu Chen looked at Dongfang Ji in disdain. I'm warning you, don't you dare have any ideas about my sister. Your sister isn't young anymore. Do all the girls on your planet marry at a later age? Sai, look at me, I'm not bad either. I'm the young master of the Dongfang family, handsome, rich, and upright. You don't even like me? Gu Fei shook his head. If we're talking about handsomeness, how can you compare to me? Madman, Dongfang Ji can't do it. What about me? I'm the strongest newcomer from the 5 major families in the 3rd heaven. I have a bright future ahead of me. I'm elegant and charming, and countless girls will bow down to me. Moreover, I'm absolutely loyal. If I marry your sister, I won't take in any concubines. If I go back on my words, Dongfang Ji will strike me to death. So I've become a tool for you to make an oath. Dongfang Ji's face was filled with righteous indignation. I don't think I'll strike you. You'll be lucky if Madman doesn't destroy your Dongfang family. Lu Chen frowned as he looked at the 2 guys. Hey, you 2 have guts. If you want to marry my sister, you'll have to beat me first. The 2 of them instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. Beat you, big brother? Do you want your sister to die alone? Can't you consider your sister's feelings? I'm willing. Lu Chen threw down these words and rolled his eyes at the 2 of them. He couldn't be bothered with them anymore. During this month, Lu Chen had been hiding in his residence, thinking about how to defeat the lunar nether glow. Shuang Ling had sent him several messages. The Saintess and the others had already obtained 5 fragments of the demonic god's lotus heart. Adding the one in Lu Chen's hands, they had a total of 7 fragments. However, the last 2 fragments were the hardest to find. These 2 fragments weren't in the hands of the 9 factions. He didn't know if he could find them in a month. The native army had 300,000 people, and Shuang Ling was with them. If they couldn't find them, Lu Chen might not be able to find them himself. Now, he could only wait. Of course, Lu Chen couldn't place all his hopes on the demonic god's lotus heart. He still didn't know what the demonic god's lotus heart's effects were. The mixed celestial and demonic cultivation technique was already at level 3. He couldn't level it up anymore, so he couldn't activate more exclusive skills. Therefore, the demonic god's lotus heart might not be able to bring about a qualitative change in his strength. The scariest thing about the lunar nether glow is its immunity to attacks, as well as its star annihilation. Lu Chen fell into deep thought. At this moment, a letter was secretly slipped into Lu Chen's door. After Lu Chen discovered it, he chased after it, but he didn't see anyone. He opened the letter. There was only one sentence inside. Go to the Starry River waterfall to cultivate. Whether you can comprehend it or not depends on your luck. Signed, Mountain Man. Chapter 697. The Milky Way waterfall wasn't too far from here, so Lu Chun headed there that day. From afar, Lu Chun saw a huge waterfall falling from a cliff hundreds of meters high. The turbulent water rushed down the cliff. Standing in front of the waterfall, Lu Chun was as small as an ant. The turbulent water vapor hit him wave after wave, and he was soon drenched. Why did the mountain man send me here? Lu Chun looked around. There were no monsters or dungeons here, only this huge waterfall. However, the mountain man only sent him this letter and didn't show up. He also didn't tell him how to meditate or what to meditate on. Damn, don't come and go without a trace, okay? Lu Chun was a little confused for a moment. While looking around, he didn't find any monsters, but Lu Chun did find a stone tablet. Generally, such things would appear in some map. Divine Bathing Terrace, waterfall descends 3,000 feet, suspected to be Jyotian. Legend has it that an immortal once bathed under the waterfall, but the pressure of 100 tons isn't something an ordinary person can withstand. Lu Chun frowned slightly. He looked at the deep pool under the waterfall. There was a huge rock where the waterfall's water was the most concentrated. Logically speaking, the rock should have sunk in after being washed by the waterfall for many years, but this rock was exceptionally sturdy, and its surface was flat and smooth. The Divine Bathing Terrace must be that rock. Lu Chun thought about it over and over in his mind. The mountain man definitely didn't send him here to admire the scenery. He mentioned meditating, and the most obvious places here were obviously the Milky Way waterfall and the Divine Bathing Terrace. Don't tell me I have to cultivate under the waterfall. That seemed to be the only possibility. Looking at the waterfall rushing down from a height of 1,000 feet, Lu Chun couldn't help but shiver. Such a fierce flow of water should be similar to a high-pressure water gun. Whatever, I'll give it a try. Then, Lu Chun used the triple door and rushed into the waterfall. However, just as he stood on the immortal bathing platform, Lu Chun felt a mountain-toppling pressure. He immediately lost his footing and was directly swept onto the immortal bathing platform by the current. Holy shit, so fierce! Under the huge pressure, Lu Chun seemed to be sucked in by this force, unable to move. Your body is damaged. The ratio is 5%, 10%. His body was damaged. It was increasing at a rate of 5% per second. If Lu Chun couldn't get out of the high-pressure water flow, he would die here. Little Furball, stand still and don't move. At this critical moment, Lu Chun summoned Little Furball. Although the Little Furball didn't know what Lu Chun wanted to do, it was a critical moment and didn't have time to ask. It quickly enlarged and clung to the ground with its 2 claws. I'm all ears. Lu Chun hurriedly activated his skill. Due to the characteristics of the skill, even if Little Furball grew bigger, its body would still be forcefully pulled over by Lu Chun. However, at the same time, Lu Chun also felt that he was being pulled by Little Furball. Fortunately, the immortal bathing platform was very smooth. With just a little pulling force, Lu Chun was able to move. Finally, with the help of this little pulling force, Lu Chun finally slid out of the high-pressure water column without any danger. At this time, his body was already at 30%. His skin was red and he was completely exhausted. Holy shit, I almost died in there. As expected, this place isn't something that ordinary people can withstand. Lu Chun let out a long sigh of relief. Little Green, help me heal my injuries. With an alchemist apprentice around, some low-level recovery pills could be cultivated and refined at any time. An hour later, Louis had refined 3 types of recovery pills and fed them to Lu Chun. Boss, if you consume the same type of pills in a short period of time, you will develop a resistance to the effects. You should practice tomorrow, Louis said worriedly. Lu Chun turned around and looked at the Star River waterfall. The pressure just now had left a deep impression on him. What exactly did the people in the mountains want me to comprehend? Lu Chen frowned. Little Green, if I only practice once a day, I'm afraid it will be too late. Look at how many more pills you can refine. If I control the damage to my body to 30%, how many times can I try? Louis said, Boss, not counting the high-grade pills I refined, according to the characteristics of grade 3 pills, you can try 3 times a day at most. 3 times. I understand. Since that's the case, I don't need to rush to try. Thinking of this, Lu Chen found a patch of grass and sat there, looking at the waterfall in a daze. The most powerful thing about the extreme nether glow is that I can't hit its body. If I'm surrounded by it, the star annihilation can kill me directly. When the star annihilation is activated, countless amounts of spiritual energy will wash over the trapped person from the ground until their body is reduced to ashes. From this point of view, it seems to be similar to the Star River waterfall. The only difference is that one is from the bottom up, while the other is from the top down. There's no difference. The more Lu Chen thought about it, the more frightened he became. He seemed to understand the people in the mountains' intentions. If I can withstand the erosion of the Star River waterfall, then I can withstand the star annihilation. It's just that in such a short time, it's impossible for my body to be strengthened to the point where it can withstand such abnormal pressure. Could it be that they want me to go back and refine my attributes? After thinking about it, Lu Chen felt that this shouldn't be the case. Otherwise, the people in the mountains would have asked him to return to the ultimate immortal sect. Moreover, the Star River waterfall and the star annihilation are not exactly the same. One is a skill, while the other is a waterfall. Lu Chen fell into deep thought. After an unknown amount of time, Lu Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at the Star River waterfall. In the Azura world, I comprehended a trace of a calm state of mind. From now on, I seem to be able to sense the flow of spiritual energy more accurately. After all, there's no qualitative change in the fourth heaven. I should think about it from the perspective of a game. Thinking of this, Lu Chen activated the heavenly eye. Lu Chen was shocked by what he saw. The entire area of the Star River waterfall was filled with a large amount of spiritual energy, especially the waterfall itself, which seemed to be constantly washing down. This is a spiritual source, Lu Chen said in shock. Unfortunately, Lu Chen's spiritual energy had reached the upper limit and couldn't be increased anymore. Otherwise, if he cultivated here, his cultivation speed might have increased exponentially. In an instant, Lu Chen seemed to understand. The people in the mountains didn't ask me to come to this spiritual source to train my body. Lu Chen took a deep breath. They meant for me to sense the spiritual energy. Thinking of this, Lu Chen quickly sat cross-legged, closed his eyes slightly, and observed everything around him with the heavenly eye. Thinking back, when the Jiutian was first released, there was an advertising slogan: "Everything has spiritual energy." The fifth heaven would be a qualitative change, and at the fourth heaven, there were already elements outside of skills like ultimate sword intent, which meant that there were other ways to determine the strength of a person other than equipment and skills. Rolling tides poured down from the Jiutian, but now what Lu Chen felt was not water, but endless spiritual energy. 10 days later. In these 10 days, Lu Chen didn't rashly enter the immortal bathing terrace. He seemed to have blended into the environment, becoming a stone beside the waterfall. He just sat quietly beside the waterfall, feeling the spiritual energy with his heart. The slight changes in the spiritual energy seemed to become particularly clear in his mind. Everything in the world has spiritual energy. When Lu Chen opened his eyes, they became particularly clear. Chapter 698. At this moment, Lu Chen could clearly observe the spirit energy carried by the surrounding water vapor, let alone the turbulent waterfall. He raised his hand and gently lifted it. The spirit energy was lifted by him and dissipated. When he put down his hand, the density of the spirit energy changed, and the spirit energy above it chased after the trajectory of his hand. Lu Chen smiled slightly. After coming to Jiutian for so long, he had never played with spirit energy. Interesting. Let's try a skill. Great Ravager Sweep. A wave of spirit energy swept out and blasted on the waterfall, quickly engulfing it. Sure enough, it's also the vibration of spirit energy. After trying other skills, Lu Chen found that other than physical attacks, no matter if it was spiritual power attack, elemental attack, or chaotic attack, those high-level moves and skills were all vibrations of spirit energy. It was just that the spirit energy was endowed with different attribute. In that case, star destruction is also the change of spirit energy. Lu Chen pondered. To deal with star destruction, just seeing is not enough. I have to find a way to change the direction of the spirit energy. Speaking of changing the direction of the spirit energy, Lu Chen remembered that when he was playing with the spirit energy just now, the direction of the spirit energy changed along with the movement of his hand. If my movements are big enough, then I can change the direction of the spirit energy in a bigger and fiercer way. No, it's not limited to the body. The spirit energy I release can also change the direction of the spirit energy of the other party. Thinking of this, Lu Chen gave up on using any move. He just slowly released the spirit energy in the spirit energy core, forming a small airflow that led the spirit energy in the surroundings to change. Yes, it's doable. Let's try colliding with the water vapor. The deep pool under the waterfall released a large amount of water vapor, which was endless and diffused outwards. However, although the amount of water vapor was huge, it did not have much impact. Lu Chen tried to release more spirit energy to collide with the water vapor. In the first few times, Lu Chen could not control the release of his spirit energy, and his spirit energy was directly swallowed by the water vapor. After repeated practice, after 6 days, Lu Chen could make his spirit energy cancel out a large amount of water vapor. On the east side of the deep pool, a visible wall was formed. The two kinds of spiritual energy offset each other, and the water mist couldn't leak out at all. The water mist was endless, but Lu Chen's pure spiritual energy was limited. After more than 10 minutes of stalemate, Lu Chen's spiritual energy was exhausted, and the overwhelming water mist drenched him. F***ck. So ferocious. No, I still need to increase my endurance. 6 transformations of the demonic god. Put him to death. Dragon blood boil. Lu Chen lowered his HP, ensuring that the skill's cooldown was almost negligible. During the process of using spiritual energy, Lu Chen only had 1/3 of the spiritual energy left in his spirit core. At the same time, he activated his spirit storm to quickly replenish his spirit core. Controlling spiritual energy was not an easy task. At the beginning, when Lu Chen launched the spiritual energy storm, he had to multitask and the spiritual energy was instantly swallowed up by the mist, causing him to be unable to dry his body for 2 days. Later, after repeated attempts, Lu Chen could finally stabilize his spiritual energy and use his spirit storm at the same time, maintaining his spirit core in an adequate state at all times. At this time, there were only 14 days left until his battle with Extreme E Nether Glow. The Saintess had found a fragment of the demonic god's lotus heart, and there was only one left. However, Shuangling said that there was no clue about the last one. Lu Chen temporarily put aside the matter of the demonic god's lotus heart and continued to comprehend. When he had already familiarized himself with the control of his spirit storm and spiritual energy, another bold idea popped up. If I increase the amount of spiritual energy overflow, can I offset the impact of the waterfall? This was definitely a crazy idea. After all, only immortals could bathe in the immortal bathing terrace. As long as my spirit storm can be replenished fast enough, with my current reserves of spirit core, it might not be impossible to block it. Thinking of this, Lu Chen arranged for the little furball to be on the shore, ready to use Listen to save him at any time. The little furball also knew that this matter was of great importance. After transforming, it hugged a big tree tightly with its claws. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chen dove into the Milky Way waterfall. Even though Lu Chen was prepared, the huge water pressure still crushed the spiritual energy released by Lu Chen in an instant. Lu Chen was directly pushed onto the immortal bathing terrace. Listen carefully. This time, Lu Chen reacted quickly, running out as soon as his body was injured. The second time, failure, third failure, fourth failure. A few days ago, Lu Chen didn't succeed even once. Fortunately, he ran fast enough, and his body wasn't seriously injured. Little Green slightly treated him, and he could try more than 10 times a day. On the 8th day, Lu Chen rushed into the waterfall again. This time, just as he was washed by the water, he quickly released a large amount of spiritual energy to resist the water. I can hold on. Lu Chen's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, and his mind was highly concentrated. Under such circumstances, he had to continuously release spiritual energy storms to maintain the consumption of spiritual energy. Perhaps it was a matter of course. This time, although Lu Chen withstood the water for the first time, he released 7 or 8 spiritual energy storms in a row, resisting the Milky Way waterfall for more than 2 minutes. Not good, I can't hold on anymore. Listen carefully. Lu Chen also learned to be smart. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, he immediately slipped away. After coming out of the waterfall, Lu Chen was in a good mood. This time, he held on for more than 2 minutes, much better than before. Ha ha, this is a place only immortals can stay. Lu Chen also stayed for more than 2 minutes. Awesome. With the successful experience, Lu Chen's progress became greater and greater. On the 3rd day, he could already stay in the waterfall for half an hour, until he could move freely in the waterfall and even use skills. 5 days later, Lu Chen had completely grasped the method to resist the waterfall. He even released a small amount of water and took a bath in it. I've finally grasped it. Even if the stars are destroyed, I won't be afraid of him. Lu Chen walked out of the waterfall without a single drop of water on his body. This feeling really made him feel like an immortal. Little furball, no need to hug the tree. Come, let's go back. At the same time, the entire 4th heaven had stopped fighting for several days. A piece of news caused the 9 factions to have no time to fight each other. The human solipsistic would fight the extreme netherglow in the war zone tomorrow. The top experts of each faction, and even those experts who had been in seclusion for a long time, all rushed to the public war zone. The next morning, the 9 factions had already set up camp outside the war zone. The number of people was already hard to count. Devin nervously pulled his father's sleeve. Dad, is Uncle Kwang really going to fight the extreme netherglow? Didn't they say that no one has ever defeated the extreme netherglow? The flame demon looked at his son. In this year, little Devin had grown rapidly. The magic tool that this little fellow liked the most now was the dark eye of the gods that old Kwang had given him. After witnessing Uncle Kwang fight the 8 sky generals by himself and then fight Demon Sovereign Holy War, Devin's shock had been too great. Now, in Devin's heart, even his own father might not have a higher status than Uncle Kwang. I don't know, in order to save me, your Uncle Kwang made a 1-year agreement with the extreme netherglow. Now, I can only hope that he can win. Demon Sovereign Holy War walked over. Putting aside the matter of that day, Demon Sovereign Holy War had let Lu Chen go. He could see that this fellow was a broad-minded person. After the Flame Demon, he had also disregarded the past and became friends with him. There are so many people here today. Even some old fellows have come out. The Flame Demon nodded. That's right. Everyone knows how strong the extreme netherglow is. No one dares to fight it to the death. What about the solipsistic? I haven't seen him yet, but he won't go back on his word. Demon Sovereign Holy War nodded. Indeed, he won't go back on his word. I hope he can create a miracle. Chapter 699. The 9 camps were gathered in the war zone, but it was especially peaceful today. They only sent a large number of people to be on guard. Not long after, another group came from afar. When everyone saw this group, they immediately became alert. The Desolate God tribe is here. During this period of time, other than solipsistic's matter, the Desolate God tribe has the biggest influence. They actually came out of the wildlands. It's said that they have 300,000 people and are very strong. Now they have become a new force in the fourth heaven. They have been searching for the demonic lotus heart fragment recently. They even came here to trade for it. I don't know why they want that useless thing. Even in the wildlands, not everyone knew about the relationship between Lu Chun and the Desolate God tribe, let alone the 9 camp. At this time, the Saintess personally led 10,000 elite troops to the war zone to set up camp. Behind the Saintess was Shuang Ling. At this time, Shuang Ling had a worried expression. It seemed that she was very depressed. Saintess, we still haven't found the last demonic lotus heart fragment. In the end, we couldn't help Brother Kwang. He's going to fight Extreme E Nether Glow today. What should we do? As she spoke, Shuang Ling was about to cry. The Saintess had a tired expression. Originally, they had found 6 fragments with 10 days left. There was only 1 left. However, when they followed the clues, the final clue was cut off. There was no news about the last Godfiend fragment in the Wildlands tribe, where everyone was very strong. They still couldn't find the last fragment in the allotted time. I'm sorry, Miss Shuang Ling. Our Wildlands tribe has really let Brother Kwang down. Now, many people in the tribe were still searching for the last fragment. However, the hope was too slim. Solipsistic was going to fight today, so the Saintess could only bring the 6 fragments here first. The Desolate God tribe set up camp not far from the Human Alliance. The Saintess and Shuang Ling went to the Human Alliance. Without knowing the purpose of the other party's visit, the 4 Seas expedition and the other 2 great generals personally welcomed them. 3 great generals, may I ask if Solipsistic is here? The Saintess went straight to the point. Not yet. The Saintess had a human bloodline. Shuang Ling was also a human. It was most suitable for the 4 Seas expedition to communicate. Great Heavenly General Yuan Jing, do you mind if we wait for him here? 4 Seas expedition's mind spun rapidly. It was not difficult to tell from the other party's words that they had a good relationship with Solipsistic. If the 2 parties had a good relationship, it would definitely be good news for the human immortal army. Being able to establish a good relationship with the Aragami tribe was something that the 9 factions could only dream of. It is our honor that the Saintess is willing to wait for us here. However, if I may ask, are the Solipsistic tribe and the Desolate God tribe enemies or friends? The Saintess smiled faintly. Many humans and dwarves were already stunned. Every movement of this woman carried a sacred and inviolable temperament. Her pair of eyes seemed to be able to steal a person's soul. It was just that the 4 Seas expedition was old and had a better temperament. If we were enemies, what would you do? 4 Seas expedition's heart tightened. He seemed to have been too optimistic. Thinking about Solipsistic's personality, it was normal for him to cause trouble everywhere. If we are enemies, then I would like to ask the Saintess to settle it after today's battle. After all, today's battle is the key. 4 Seas expedition said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. The Saintess' eyes were like autumn water. She smiled and said, "It seems that you guys are quite protective of him. Don't worry, I am not here to cause trouble." 4 Seas expedition heaved a sigh of relief. The Saintess was actually testing him. The 9 factions, plus the Desolate God tribe, the 10 major factions were all waiting in the war zone. From morning to afternoon and then to afternoon. The autumn wind blew through the forest, rustling the leaves. People began to worry that solipsistic tribe would not come. If he did not come, they would have to return immediately. After all, after sunset, it was the time for the moon nether glow to go out. If they met that guy in the wild, the entire Azura tribe would be wiped out. The various factions were even on standby, ready to leave at any time. Devon was a little anxious. He asked his father, "Dad, Uncle Kwang is not here yet." The flame demon was calmer than anyone else. "Your Uncle Kwang will come." Of course he would come. After all, he was poisoned. If he did not fight today, he would definitely die. Just as some of the teams were preparing to leave, they suddenly felt the ground under their feet begin to move. The entire war zone seemed to have turned into a surging sea. There were loud rumbling sounds all around. The mountains in the distance were shaking up and down at a rate visible to the naked eye. Countless rocks fell from the mountains. It's the moon nether glow. That's not right. The sun hasn't set yet. Why is it out so early? Not good. We have fallen into solipsistic tribe's trap. He wants to use the moon nether glow to destroy us. Speaking of which, is this the moon nether glow? This is the first time I have felt its power. It's too terrifying. Stop talking nonsense. Retreat immediately. There are many people here. The moon nether glow might not chase after us. Just as the 9 factions were in a mess, a huge dragon flew over from the horizon with its back facing the setting sun. 9-winged celestial dragon. A human male stood on the dragon's head. He was wearing a red robe that fluttered in the wind. His hands were behind his back, and a black and white sword was hanging by his side. His gaze was calm. His hair, which had not been combed for a long time, was slightly long. His black hair fluttered in the wind, but it could not cover his clear eyes. When she saw that person, the saintess was stunned. After not seeing him for 2 short months, solipsistic tribe seemed to have changed. He was calmer and more relaxed. Even though he was just standing on the dragon's head, he gave off the feeling of looking down on all living things. The flame demon looked at that fellow and a strange feeling welled up in his heart. The flame demon did not want him to come, but he also knew that he would definitely come. This was his good brother. The 8 brothers who dared to come to the demon territory alone to save him from the execution field. Even though he knew that he would die, he could not stop his footsteps. "Uncle Kwang, it's Uncle Kwang!" Devon shouted excitedly. "Uncle Kwang! I knew you would come. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me." The tough flame demon was actually a bit choked up. "This brat, wearing such a flashy outfit again. Why don't you wear the one I gave you?" Shuang Ling looked at the man on the dragon's head in a daze. The battle had not yet begun, but her heart was already in her throat. On one side was the extreme nether glow, who had never been defeated before. On the other side was her brother Kwang. It would be strange if she was not worried. What's more, the fragments of the demonic god's lotus heart had not been gathered yet. In the air, a faint voice sounded. "Extreme earthworm, the time is not up yet. Don't be so anxious. You're scaring my friends." Gui Yanran almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This fellow always gave his opponents nicknames. When he was fighting the Black Flood Dragon, he called his opponent Squid. Now it was even more impressive. The extreme nether glow, a yin-yang sacred beast, was called an earthworm by him. In the entire 4th heaven, no one dared to call it the extreme nether glow. This fellow is really a little expert with nicknames. Chapter 700. With Lu Chen's shout, the earth actually calmed down. The 9-winged celestial dragon stopped in front of the human race's Immortal Army Alliance camp before being kept by Lu Chen. The Saintess, Shuang Ling, Gufei Yanran, 4 Seas Expedition and the rest all gathered around. "Brother Lone Kwang, I'm here to ask for forgiveness," the Saintess said. "Previously, I even boasted that you would leave the matter of the demonic god Lotus Heart to me. In the end, I actually failed to collect all of it. Lu Chen smiled. Saintess, you helped me collect the fragments. I should thank you for guessing correctly. So many people from the Desolate God tribe couldn't find all of them. If I were to look for them myself, it would be good if I could find one or two in such a short time. But Brother Kuang, you're about to fight the extreme nether glow. Shuang Ling said anxiously. No, this time I'll go with you. Right, we'll go with you. Lu Chen shook his head. If we can't deal with star extermination, no matter how many people there are, they will be killed by it. Numbers are useless. I'll deal with it alone. Lu Chen suddenly saw Southern Sky sect leader. Brother Southern Sky, why are you here too? Is my sister all right? Southern Sky nodded. I'm just worried about you. As for your fellow villagers and your sister, you can rest assured that I didn't say a single word to them. Right now, they are training in the sect. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. I'll have to trouble Brother Southern Sky to help me take care of them in the future. The moment these words came out, everyone's heart sank. From what they heard, it sounded like Lu Chen felt that he had no chance of winning this battle. However, Lu Chen's words were not wrong. Whether or not he could defeat the extreme nether glow, it was time for him to leave. Since Lu Yi and the rest were fine, Lu Chen was relieved. Solipsistic, are you ready? I can't wait any longer. A deep voice came, as if a hammer was hammering on everyone's heart. After Lu Chen heard it, he smiled. The time had come. Brother Kuang, you be careful, Shuang Ling said anxiously. Brother Du Kuang, we will wait for your return. Solipsistic, you have to come back. Zhenghua Yanran held back her tears. Lu Chen looked at these people and smiled. Along the way, unknowingly, he had already made so many friends. Perhaps this was also a gratifying thing. Without replying to them, Lu Chen resolutely turned around. His eyes became exceptionally calm as he slowly walked towards the center of the battlefield. Countless people watched on helplessly as Lone Tyrant walked out of the crowd. That's the solipsistic of the human race. He's going up. It wasn't easy for the human clan to produce an expert, but I didn't expect him to court death like this. How could he possibly defeat the extreme nether glow? But then again, perhaps the human race isn't as weak as we think. The ground rumbled as the empty space in front of Lu Chen exploded. The extreme nether glow had appeared. Seeing this huge monster again, Lu Chen was exceptionally calm. He said indifferently, Hey, do you want to detoxify the goo poison in my body first? If I kill you, no one will detoxify the goo poison for me. The extreme nether glow didn't hesitate. The woman raised her hand and took back a shadow goo from Lu Chen's body. Since you keep your promise, I will naturally help you detoxify the goo. Do you have any last wishes? Regardless of the outcome between us, don't attack these armies that can't return to their territories in time. Of course. One more question. Why did you sign a 1-year agreement with me? Is it because I shouldn't exist in the Jiutian? Correct. Lu Chen smiled. As expected, it was related to his identity. Do you have a fragment of the demonic god's lotus heart? Yes. Lu Chen took a deep breath. His conjecture was correct. It wasn't that the Saintess and the others were incompetent. In fact, as long as a fragment of the demonic god's lotus heart existed in the 4th layer, with the Desolate God tribe's ability, they could definitely find it. The only reason they couldn't find it was because it was with the extreme nether glow. Others might not know the power of the demonic god's set, but the extreme nether glow should know. It was actually very simple to prevent others from obtaining the demonic god's lotus heart. As long as he left a fragment with himself, others wouldn't be able to gather it. As expected, not a single piece of the demonic god's set could be obtained easily. The difficulty of obtaining each piece was beyond imagination. The result was obvious. Even without the 1-year agreement, Lu Chen had to kill the extreme nether glow. Good, I've finished asking my questions. Lu Chen took a deep breath and activated War God's possession, demon transformation, land of death, boiling dragon blood, and 3 lives reincarnation, demonic gods symbiosis. Seeing Lu Chen's skills, Yanran frowned. This guy, why did he lower his health so low from the start? He even used 3 lives reincarnation. He used both of his rebirth. The Saintess said, in the 4th layer of heaven, the effects of rebirth aren't very useful. The extreme netherglow's attacks almost always damage the body. Even if the character can be reborn, the damage to the body can't be instantly healed. In the battle against the extreme netherglow, the solipsistic has to go all out from the start. He can't hold back at all. However, can he deal with the extreme netherglow's nihility body and star annihilation? Nihility body, isn't it a Buddha body astral body? The Saintess said, actually, the reason why the extreme netherglow can't be hit is because it has a Buddha body astral body. Although the two are somewhat similar, as a yin-yang sacred beast, the extreme netherglow has a special constitution. 4C's expedition also said, that's right, our human race's ancient books have records of it. That's the extreme netherglow's unique constitution, not a class astral body. At this moment, Lu Chen activated his dual heaven's wrath. Pass down the order. Everyone in the Aragami tribe is to provide Mad God with their stats, the Saintess said without hesitation. 4C's expedition also saw the system prompt about the requisitioning of his stats. At the same time, he also saw the description of his weakened state. At this moment, all 9 factions were here. If he were to provide his stats now, it would be extremely dangerous. What surprised him was that the Saintess actually did not hesitate to have the tribe's soldiers provide their stats. Behind such decisiveness, did it mean that the Aragami tribe had long since known about Mad God's 2 heavens' wrath and had set up an ambush outside? After all, it was rumored that the Aragami tribe had 300,000 members, while only 10,000 of them had come. The Saintess seemed to have seen through 4C's expedition's worries. She smiled at him and said, General Expedition, there is no need to worry. Brother Lone Tyrant has 2 heavens' wrath. Defiant Demon's wrath forcibly requisitioned his stats. None of the people here will be spared. As for Divine Wrath, with my 10,000 soldiers here, that fellow's stats should be enough. Moreover, if he has 4 heavens' wrath, he will not be affected. The true experts of each faction will still be able to retain their strength. My Aragami tribe does not have the heart to fight for hegemony. It's just that in the eyes of my Aragami tribe, this solipsistic is worthy of the title of War God. After saying that, the Saintess could not help but laugh. This fellow, even his heaven's wrath, is so unreasonable. He directly caused 99% of the people in the 9 factions to be weakened. Chapter 701. While the other factions were still in awe of Lu Chen's god-demon symbiosis, Lu Chen had already activated his primal chaos domain. Extreme netherglow was not in a hurry. Instead, it patiently waited for Lu Chen to activate his full state. This is your strongest state? More or less. Indeed, you are far stronger than a level 4. Unfortunately, in front of me, Extreme Netherglow, you are still nothing. Extreme Netherglow's huge body began to emerge from the ground. For many people, it was their first time seeing Extreme Netherglow's complete form. A huge creature with a human body and a snake tail emerged from the ground. Its upper body was that of a human female covered in scales. Its eyes were slightly closed, but there was a huge heaven's eye on its forehead. The huge snake tail was hundreds of meters long. It was even bigger than a normal dragon. This is a heaven and earth sacred beast. It's actually so huge. Its strength should be far beyond a level 4. It has guarded the level 4 heaven domain gate for thousands of years. No one has ever killed it. Oh my God! It's said that the level 5 is a qualitative change. Just the guardian boss is already so abnormal. Then what is the level 5 like? What kind of terrifying world is that? Extreme Een domain. In an instant, all the players in the entire battle zone were affected. All attributes decreased by 50%, skill cooldowns increased, reaction speed decreased, and all spiritual skill effects decreased by 70%. At the same time, their spiritual attacks increased by 100%. At night, their attack speed, movement speed, and skill casting speed increased by 200%. The lunar domain couldn't affect Lu Chen, but at that time, it could increase his spiritual power attack. It seemed that the lunar nether glow wanted to strengthen his own body. This girl had never used extreme Een domain before. He did not expect her to have this trick up her sleeve. Then, solipsistic, the game begins. Extreme Een Netherglow's mouth curled up. Then, its huge body turned into an afterimage and pounced at Lu Chen. So fast. It's hard to imagine that such a huge body can create afterimages. It's too scary. This guy can't be defeated. If he is surrounded by that guy's tail, Solipsistic will definitely die. At the same time, Lu Chen shouted, Heaven's Eye, Buddha Body Clone, Ghost Shadow, Demon Doppelganger. Suddenly, a large number of Lu Chen's clones appeared on the battlefield. Among them, there were ghostly shadows, clones, and even Buddha clones. It was hard to tell who was who. Perhaps there's still hope. If Lone Tyrant can use his Buddha body to trick the other party into using his skills, like he did with Qing Jian. Before Sweetheart Protector could finish speaking, Extreme Een Netherglow had already pounced towards one of the figures. She only chose one target. Could it be that she can recognize Lone Kuang's true body? Gu Fei widened his eyes, afraid that he would miss even a second of the battle. Perhaps 1 second was enough to determine the outcome of the battle. Above the clouds in the distance, a human man in plain clothes was floating in the air. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate thousands of miles. At this moment, he put his hands behind his back and frowned slightly. Lu Chen, you've only reached the 4th heaven, yet I'm already forcing you to comprehend the spiritual energy subtlety realm. However, you only have this one chance to win against the Extreme Een Netherglow. If you want to protect your family and friends, you have to keep getting stronger. There is no turning back. Lu Chen's 3 Buddha body clones quickly used ghostly shadows, descend to dodge the other party's attack. However, just as he descended, a slight change occurred beneath his feet. Lu Chen seemed to be able to see the violent spiritual energy fluctuations underground. He hurriedly descended once more. Less than a second after he changed his position, the ground beneath the ghostly figure suddenly collapsed. The surrounding earth and stones rapidly compressed towards the collapsed area, filling up the cracks and squeezing them together. That ghostly figure directly disappeared from where he stood. Lu Chen's eyes trembled. Not only was that skill hidden, but it was also extremely fast. Once struck, there was no time to react. In the distance, the Saintess narrowed her eyes. The scene on the battlefield caused her to be moved. There are 2 aspects to the casting speed of skills. One is the shortening of the preparation phase. Normally, a domain shortens the time it takes to store energy. However, Extreme Een Netherglow's skill shortens not only the time it takes to store energy, but also the speed of the skill itself. Gu Fei's expression was solemn. Indeed, the change in the ground just now was completed in an instant. If there was even the slightest bit of carelessness, you would have been buried alive. Truly, every step is dangerous. One mistake and you will be doomed eternally. Forsee's expedition took a deep breath. This is just the beginning. The intensity of the battle has already reached a level I have never seen in my life. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen had descended many times. Apart from the collapse of the ground, Extreme Een Netherglow's attacks would also protrude out of the ground. She had already mastered both skills. Meanwhile, Lu Chen's ghostly figure doppelgangers were getting fewer and fewer. However, this was not the key. After all, he could use ghostly layers again. It was just that normal people would not be able to withstand such a high-intensity dodging state. In one dodge, Lu Chen was a moment slower and immediately lost a Buddha doppelganger. Earth coffin seal. The earth rumbled, and everyone present only felt a tremor. Immediately after, 4 earthen walls rose from all directions. The top of the earthen walls quickly extended, forming a rectangular sealed space, trapping all of Lu Chen's doppelgangers. What kind of skill is this? The range is a few thousand meters? A stone wall is almost a few hundred meters high. Is it directly controlling the entire map? This is too exaggerated. Earth coffin seal, who can escape? The huge stone coffin quickly closed, shrinking toward the center. This is... Demon Venerable Holy War's eyes widened. This is a real trap. The Balrog no longer cared to answer Demon Venerable Holy War's words. At this moment, his mind was blank. Facing such an overbearing skill, his only thought was, Old Kwang. Come out. Triple gate, yes, triple gate teleportation. Demon Venerable Holy War shook his head. Impossible. If this skill can be teleported out with ordinary teleportation skills, then it will be useless. Extreme Nether Glow must have a way to restrict teleportation skills. The stone coffin shrank extremely quickly, almost as fast as rapid movement. In the blink of an eye, it had shrunk 10 times. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came from above the stone coffin. Void shattering. Immediately after, a red figure rushed out of the stone coffin. Seeing solipsistic break out of earth coffin seal, Balrog and Devon breathed a sigh of relief. After rushing out of the stone coffin, Lu Chen already had a long weapon in his hand. Tiger descends the mountain. Suppressive fire. Boom 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 boom. 50 consecutive spirit energy cannons rained down on Extreme Nether Glow. However, the spirit energy cannons had no effect on Extreme Nether Glow. They directly passed through its body and crashed into the ground. Lu Chen blasted open a huge pit in the ground. How high is this boy's attack? It can actually produce such a terrifying effect, directly changing the landscape. He really has some skill. Unfortunately, he still can't touch Extreme Nether Glow. Shuang Ling saw Lu Chen's attack miss and her heart tightened. Not good, he still can't hit her. That's right, Big Brother Kwang said that suppressive fire consumes a high amount of spiritual energy. Then, Extreme Nether Glow will have to use that move. Sure enough, just as Lu Chen stopped, Extreme Nether Glow roared. Dark clear moon seal. The moon was waxing and waning, and there were waxing and waning. Extreme seal used the percentage of spiritual energy consumed by the enemy to cause damage to the area. Not good, Big Brother Kwang, dodge. However, the seal was too difficult to dodge. At this time, Lu Chen didn't have any avatars to protect him, so he was directly hit by the seal. Chapter 702. Lu Chen was hit by the dark glow Extreme seal. Billions of damage instantly emptied Lu Chen's HP and his body instantly exploded. Before the others could react, Extreme Nether Glow had already realized something. Buddha body doppelganger? You sure are fast to escape. Lu Chen's 2 Buddha body doppelganger were both destroyed. At this time, his main body was sealed in the earth coffin. Extreme Nether Glow roared, dismember corpse and sacrifice the heavens. The entire coffin suddenly exploded. The huge impact shook the mountains and rivers. The earth rumbled. Countless rocks exploded in all directions. The surrounding trees and forests were flattened. Not good, Big Brother Kwang. Shuang Ling's eyes widened. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest. Dismember corpse and sacrifice the heavens was a low-level version of star annihilation. It was an area attack. All doppelgangers would not be spared from such an explosion. After the coffin exploded, the battlefield was filled with smoke. The surrounding 1,000 meters had been razed to the ground. Uncle Kwong. Devon tightly grabbed his father's hand. His fingers were already embedded in the flame demon's skin. However, the flame demon could not feel it at all. He was desperately searching for solipsistic in the ruins. Old Kwong, you must survive. The smoke dispersed. A red figure slowly stood up from the ruins. He brushed the dust off his body and stared at Extreme Netherglow. Extreme Netherglow frowned. Impossible. Even if he has a HP lock skill, why is his body not injured at all? Could it be he used a high-level immortal pill? Even Extreme Netherglow could not see the scene inside the earth coffin, so this possibility could not be ruled out. However, even if Lu Chen survived, Solipsistic was undoubtedly at an absolute disadvantage in their first confrontation. Not only was he completely suppressed, but he also did not hit Extreme Netherglow. It seems that you have disappointed me. Extreme Netherglow sneered. You did not surprise me. Even if you recover with the help of pills, how long can you last? You are the same as the king of monsters. You are not even an ant in front of me. Lu Chen's eyes were cold. In my eyes, the king of monsters is the same as me. Please do not insult it. Insult? In front of the strong, what is not an insult? As a weakling, you should learn to get used to this. Lu Chen coldly snorted, is that so? You don't seem to have hurt me. Then prove that you're stronger than me first. Stubborn. Extreme Netherglow said as it pounced towards Lu Chen again. Countless earth spikes and earth collapses assaulted Lu Chen. Lu Chen relied on his cooldown free movement to frantically dodge. Both sides were exchanging blows for the second time, and right off the bat, it was a high-intensity battle of displacement. 9 void steps. Psionic space cannon. With the help of 9 void steps, Lu Chen began to attempt a counterattack. However, the space cannon's attacks all missed, and the space cannon's attacks bombarded the ground, causing massive craters to appear one after another. Old Brother Lone Tyrant's space cannon's damage is indeed frightening, but if it can't hit anyone, then no matter how high its damage is, it will still be futile. The Holy Maiden said anxiously. If we don't break the Nihility body soon, Extreme Netherglow will use Star Annihilation. At this moment, an old man beside 4 Seas Expedition frowned slightly. This person had hidden his ID and did not have a military rank. However, to be able to stand beside 4 Seas Expedition, his identity must not be ordinary. If my guess is correct, Solipsistic's attacks are not random. He is looking for Extreme Netherglow's weakness. The moment these words came out, everyone looked at this old man in surprise. Gufei asked curiously, "May I ask who you are?" The old man waved his hand. "I have already retired for many years. You don't need to know my identity. I never thought that after so many years, I would be able to see such a young talent appear in the human race." His psionic cannon's attacks have practically covered Extreme Netherglow's entire body, from its human body to its snake tail. He is probing for its weakness step by step. The old man narrowed his eyes. To be able to not give up in such an intense battle and even maintain a calm mind, Expedition, your eyes are not bad. If this child can survive today, he might be able to achieve great things in the future. Master. Brother Lone Tyrant's temperament is indeed extraordinary. 4 Seas Expedition called out Master, and the group felt their scalps go numb. The Great Sky General, 4 Seas Expedition's Master. You are the legendary Great Sky General, Human Emperor Xian Yuanzi? Xian Yuanzi shook his head. It's all in the past. There are always talents in every generation. If you want to count outstanding people, you have to look at the present. What I'm afraid of now is that Extreme Netherglow is a yin-yang sacred beast and has a special void body. I'm afraid that it really has no weakness. On the battlefield, the two figures were already extremely fast. Gradually, Lu Chen was once again at a disadvantage. Extreme Netherglow could attack without restraint, but Lu Chen had to dodge and attack at the same time. This consumed a lot of energy. It was already very difficult for a human to maintain such a high level of energy. You still haven't found my weakness? Extreme Netherglow laughed wildly. You inferior races will never be able to understand the meaning of a perfect body. This game has already become somewhat boring. Since that's the case, I'll send you on your last journey. Under the opponent's crazy suppression, Lu Chen's range of movement became smaller and smaller. It was inevitable that he would be surrounded by Extreme Netherglow's huge snake tail. When Extreme Netherglow's head and tail connected, everyone, including those who had nothing to do with Lu Chen, felt their hearts tighten. Not good, he's surrounded. Extreme Netherglow is going to use that move. Sigh, actually, the battle just now made me look at that kid in a new light. But now it seems that no one can defeat Extreme Netherglow in the end. What a pity! After Extreme Netherglow surrounded Lu Chen, it no longer chased after Lu Chen. Its huge body formed a circle, head and tail connected, leisurely circling around. At this time, no matter how the solipsistic attacked, she just looked at the prey that was already in her mouth. Ha 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 ha, solipsistic, don't struggle. You will die if you meet me. You dare to challenge the rules of the Jyotian. Then you only have one path, and that is to be destroyed. At this time, Lu Chen also put away the Spirit God Cannon and stood in the circle of Extreme Netherglow. That move was coming. The moment that would decide life and death was coming. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chen suddenly closed his eyes and only opened the Heaven's Eye. When the spectators saw this, there was an uproar. The solipsistic has already given up. That's right, a move like Star Annihilation can destroy heaven and earth. Who can block it? In the end, it's still over. I thought he would be able to make some waves. The Flame Devil's wife had already turned her head. She couldn't bear to watch anymore. She covered Devon's eyes. Devon, don't look. Devon's eyes were full of tears. He pushed away his mother's hand and said resolutely, "No, Mom, I want to see. Let me remember how Uncle Kwang died in battle. One day, I will avenge Uncle Kwang." The Flame Devil held back his tears. Yes, watch carefully. One day, we will avenge our good brother. 4C's expedition let out a long sigh. Xiao Kwang, Zhengui Yanran's face, was already full of tears. That young man she could only look up to, had he given up? No, that was not his personality. But now, did he still have a chance to turn the tables? What? You finally figured it out? You're starting to give up struggling? Extreme Netherglow roared arrogantly. I, Extreme Netherglow, am not someone a mere human can challenge. Solipsistic, go to hell. Extreme Star Annihilation. The ground under Lu Chen's feet shook. Everyone knew that the next attack would be terrifying enough to destroy heaven and earth. So far, no one could resist it. However, the man in red who was in the center of the Star Annihilation skill was unexpectedly sitting cross-legged. Someone heard his faint voice. Everything in the world has spiritual energy. Even the most humble creature has a reason to exist. If you think I don't have the qualifications to exist, I will kill you. If the heavens think I don't have the qualifications to exist, I will defy the heavens. Chapter 703. Within the vast area surrounded by the Extreme Netherglow, the ground immediately collapsed, and a torrential pillar of spiritual energy erupted from the ground. Endless black-purple spiritual energy, like a volcanic eruption, crazily spewed from the bottom to the top with an earth-shattering momentum. Here, the spiritual energy cleansed everything in the space. The violent spiritual energy seemed to have no end as it rushed straight to the sky, stirring up the clouds in the sky and breaking through the clouds. Everyone felt that the world was collapsing. In front of this move, was there anything that could survive? If it wasn't for the extreme netherglow, it could have gone even further. Oh my God, star annihilation has completely exceeded the concept of a heaven-level technique. This is an invincible existence. Actually, as long as the extreme netherglow has this move, who can really defeat it? The extreme netherglow is worthy of being a yin and yang sacred beast. This kind of power is truly heaven-defying. Solipsistic can't survive this endless eruption. Shuang Ling's body was trembling. Although they still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts, they had been together with Kuang Go for nearly a year. No matter what kind of opponent, even the rage god War Soul, Kuang Go could survive in desperate situations. However, when she saw star annihilation, her rationality told her that the last glimmer of hope was very small. Kuang Go. Shuang Ling's eyes were already filled with tears. The Balrog clenched his fists tightly. In his heart, he always thought that Kuang Go had to make a 1-year agreement with the extreme netherglow to save him. Kuang Go, I, the Balrog, swear that even if I have to spend my life, I will avenge you. The black and purple spiritual energy cleansed everything in the area. Even the earth and rocks could only turn into dust here. However, at this moment, Xianyuanzi's eyes suddenly widened, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. No, impossible! Impossible! This is impossible! Senior Xianyuanzi, what did you say? Look, inside the star annihilation, there's a faint spiritual energy ball. Everyone hurriedly looked inside the range of star annihilation. There seemed to be a faint area that was different from the surrounding black and purple spiritual energy. In the demon race's array core, Devon opened the dark eye of the gods. He seemed to see more clearly than others. Dad, Uncle Kuang is inside. What? Let me take a look at your eye of the gods. The flame demon took a look. Sure enough, within the star destruction, there was a figure sitting upright within the pale-colored ball of spiritual qi. No matter how the surrounding spiritual qi washed over him, he remained as still as a mountain. How did you do it? Hiss! Balrog, lend me the eye of the dark gods. The holy war demon emperor snatched the eye of the dark gods and opened it to take a closer look. No way, that's impossible. How was it possible for someone to come out unscathed from such a powerful skill? Is it an illusion? It might have been an illusion if only one of them saw it, but now that all three of them had seen it, unless the eye of the dark gods was broken, the one who saw it the clearest was naturally the extreme netherglow. At this moment, the heaven's eye on the woman's forehead was wide open. Impossible! How could you not be affected by star annihilation? This is impossible. Extreme netherglow's shock instantly made everyone present dumbstruck. What? The lunar netherglow said that the solipsistic is still alive? What's going on? Shouldn't his body and soul have already been destroyed? No one can survive such a skill. Oh my God, I saw it. That guy is really still alive. Impossible, that's absolutely impossible. What everyone said the most was, impossible. In their minds, the scene in front of them would never happen. However, Lu Chun had done what they thought was impossible. Endless spiritual energy gushed up into the sky from below. Inside the huge spiritual energy pillar, Lu Chun sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He was as still as water. At this moment, he didn't seem to be in the range of star annihilation. Instead, he was sitting on the divine bathing platform under the Milky Way waterfall. Everything in the world had spiritual energy. Skills, on the other hand, were merely the extraction of spiritual energy and the use of it in other forms. So, what was the difference between star annihilation and the Milky Way waterfall? The purple light pillar around him had become flowing water in the heaven's eye. As long as he used the corresponding spiritual energy to gently push the water away, the water would flow past him. While resisting star annihilation, Lu Chen used the spiritual energy storm rhythmically to replenish his spiritual core. As long as star annihilation didn't stop, his spiritual core would also be endless. For a full 5 minutes, the terrifying lunar star annihilation didn't even touch Lu Chen. This state was very comfortable. If not for the fact that Lu Chen still remembered that he wasn't really in the Milky Way waterfall, he would have taken off his clothes and taken a shower. After getting used to it, Lu Chen slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, he was no longer frightened by the terrifying scene around him. His eyes only saw the surface. When he could feel the microscopic spiritual energy, star annihilation was no longer scary. He began to stand up and slightly reduce his spiritual energy so that he could use the impact of star annihilation to stand in the void. Then, he began to walk around inside star annihilation. The lunar nether fluorescent eyes almost popped out. Not only was that guy unharmed, but he was also walking around freely inside star annihilation? You solipsistic, I don't believe you can take on star annihilation. Lu Chen stood inside star annihilation and looked indifferently at the lunar nether fluorescent. Lunar nether fluorescent, you call this star annihilation? Just this? The lunar nether fluorescent almost vomited blood. Solipsistic was looking down on its sure-kill skill. The surrounding people's minds were blank. That guy was inside star annihilation as if nothing had happened. He was even chatting with the lunar nether fluorescent? Not only was he chatting, but he was also mocking the lunar nether fluorescent eye. Star annihilation was such a powerful skill, but he asked a question in such a clever way, making it seem like a weak skill. I've lived for so long, but I've never seen such an arrogant person, solipsistic. He's too strong. I still don't know what happened. Am I hallucinating because I've been under too much pressure from the recent battles? Who's going to slap me awake? Brother, this isn't a hallucination. It's just that reality is more ridiculous than a hallucination. Is he really a human? Why would there be such a monster in the human race? Star annihilation had been going on for 10 minutes, but Lu Chen was still unscathed. The lunar nether fluorescent eye's expression suddenly changed. I understand now. It's spiritual energy refinement. Thinking of this ability, the lunar nether fluorescent eye could no longer remain calm. Impossible, that's not something a fourth layer of heaven should have. Lu Chen smiled. You know quite a lot. Actually, I didn't know what this ability was called at first. You were the one who told me just now. Spiritual energy refinement. And it's quite appropriate. Impossible. Spiritual energy refinement is an existence that subverts all special effects below the fifth layer of heaven. There are no related records below the fifth layer of heaven. You can't possibly learn this realm. Lu Chen smiled. About this, I comprehended it myself when I was bathing. Xianyuan Zi Zhengui Yanran, 4 Seas Expedition, Beishui Gufei, Dongfang Ji, and a large group of people almost collapsed. This guy comprehended an ability that shouldn't exist? And he comprehended it while bathing? What kind of monster was this guy? Chapter 704. No one would have thought that solipsistic could actually withstand extreme nether glow's ultimate skill, star's annihilation. Not only that, but he could even move freely in star's annihilation. Extreme nether glow was somewhat helpless. You bastard! However, so what if star's annihilation can't kill you? You and I still have other methods. Besides, you can't kill me. Inside star's annihilation, Lu Chen's gaze was fixed on the ground. As he became more and more accustomed to the strength of the spiritual energy inside star's annihilation, his vision seemed to become clearer. When you stare into the abyss is also staring at you. This sentence seemed to be more than just a famous saying in the current situation. It was as if there was something in the abyss watching him. This feeling was exactly the same as when Lu Chen first saw Extreme E Netherglow's heavenly eye. Could it be that there was another Extreme E Netherglow underground? Lu Chen suddenly realized. Perhaps the Extreme E Netherglow in front of him wasn't the real Extreme E Netherglow. Otherwise, why would there be an eye underground? When he was challenging the Heaven Punishing Tower, the boss on the 7th floor was a puppet master. At first, Lu Chen didn't notice it. It was only when Main Yang reminded him that he killed the puppet master. That dangerous situation left a deep impression on Lu Chen. Previously, Lu Chen had already tested it with the space cannon. The Extreme E Netherglow's body couldn't be hit at all. He also used spiritual energy to check, but he didn't even find the Extreme E Netherglow's spirit pill. It was fine if its body was empty, but it was abnormal to not have a spirit pill. Its skills consumed a huge amount of spiritual energy. How could it activate without a spirit pill? Originally, Lu Chen was frowning because of this problem, but who would have thought that the answer was actually in Star's annihilation? The creature underground was the master of Extreme E Netherglow, or the main body. It was impossible to determine for the time being, but there was no doubt that the key to solving Extreme E Netherglow was the guy hiding underground. Thinking of this, Lu Chen looked at Extreme E Netherglow. Hey little earthworm, you just said that the game has become boring. I agree. So, prepare to die. At this time, Lunar Netherglow also lost some confidence in her heart. Solipsistic had already grasped the spirit chi minute subtlety, so what else was impossible? You can't kill me. I have the nihility body. Lu Chen coldly snorted. The Taiji gives birth to yin and yang. If there is a void, then there is a real one. You have the nihility body, but I believe that there is another one. After saying that, Lu Chen grabbed the limitless Godfiend's sword with one hand. His entire body went against the flow of Star's annihilation's powerful spiritual energy and rushed into the abyss. What is he doing? Guiyanran exclaimed. Xianyuan Zi's breathing began to quicken. He seems to have found a way to kill the Extreme E Netherglow. Maybe he can create a miracle. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. Solipsistic was finally going to launch an all-out attack. From Extreme E Netherglow's rare nervous expression, perhaps he was right. Whether or not they could kill the lunar shadow depended on this. Lu Chen went against the flow and rushed into the bottomless abyss. That I grew bigger and bigger with a look of disbelief. Impossible, how did you find me? After rushing down 1,000 meters, the giant I was already in front of him. And behind that giant I was a creature that was extremely similar to the Extreme E Netherglow. It had a human body and a snake tail. Its body was huge, but the human body was that of a man. Lu Chen immediately understood. There were a total of 2 sacred beasts, the Extreme Yang Illumination and the Extreme E Netherglow. All along, the one that moved above was the Extreme E Netherglow, and this one was most likely the Extreme Yang Illumination. One yin and one yang, one void and one real. If he hadn't comprehended the spiritual energy subtlety, then Lu Chen wouldn't have been able to survive the star's annihilation. If he didn't survive, then he wouldn't have noticed the abyss and the Extreme Yang Illumination hidden in the abyss. Therefore, it wasn't unreasonable to say that the Extreme E Netherglow was invincible. Because its weakness was hidden too deep, it was too inconceivable. So that's how it is. Lu Chen's heart was like a mirror. Under the spiritual energy subtlety state, Lu Chen could clearly see the Extreme Yang Illumination's huge spiritual core. Obviously, this guy had a weakness. Interestingly, the Extreme E Netherglow was extremely fast, its combat power was off the charts, and it had the incorporeal body, but the Extreme Yang Illumination couldn't move at all. It could only watch as Lu Chen approached. Impossible, you couldn't have discovered me. Lu Chen sneered. Unfortunately, I seem to like doing the impossible. Go die, sacred beast! Lu Chen angrily shouted. Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Because Lu Chen's spiritual energy storm had to ensure his survival in the star's annihilation, Lu Chen chose Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain, which didn't consume too much spiritual energy. Of course, Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain's damage wasn't low. It was just that the burst wasn't as terrifying as void shattering and firepower suppression. Lu Chen rushed towards the extreme yang illumination. -280 million double critical hit, -4. 2 million poisoned, -4. 2 million poisoned, -4. 2 million poisoned, -420 million triple critical hit, -4. 2 million poisoned, -4. 2 million poisoned. Immune, extreme yang illumination was immune to the earth element damage of the Kuei Ox bloodline, but it was still immune to physical attacks and poisons. A string of numbers crazily appeared. In addition, there was dizziness, silence, speed reduction, mana burn, spatial distortion, and other abnormal statuses. I thought you guys were really invincible, but you're only at this level. Lu Chen's anger was completely vented on the extreme yang illumination. After the extreme yang illumination was dizzied, even the star's annihilation stopped. It seemed that this skill was used by this guy. With the star's annihilation gone, Lu Chen was truly free. Come, I'll bring you up. Let everyone see how invincible the so-called invincible extreme nether glow is. Universe annihilation, a sky shaking. Lu Chen instantly flashed to where the extreme yang illumination was and fiercely attacked upwards. Listen attentively could attract the enlarged little furball over, not to mention the specialized sky shaking skill. No matter how big the extreme yang illumination was, it was still blasted into the sky by Lu Chen's punch. However, the height of this sky shaking skill was still a bit low. But now that Lu Chen's skill was in the cooldown period, he continued to use sky shaking and directly blasted the extreme yang illumination out of the ground 1,000 meters below ground. Solipsistic has been down for a while. I wonder how he's doing? What's underground? Is the extreme nether glow a puppet? That's impossible. This is really worrying me to death. Just as everyone was anxiously waiting, they suddenly realized that the star's annihilation skill had stopped. Then, the extreme nether glow began to lose HP. -280 million double critical hit, -4. 2 million poisoned, -4. 2 million poisoned immune. -420 million triple critical hit, -420 million poisoned, -4. 2 million poisoned immune. What's going on? Why is the extreme nether glow losing HP? Solipsistic isn't here at all. The extreme nether glow is actually losing HP? This is simply unheard of. Xianyuan Zi's eyes widened as he took a few deep breaths. Only then did he calm down a little. Heavens, that madman found a way to kill the extreme nether glow. Chapter 705. With a boom, a huge figure flew out of the abyss. A creature similar to extreme nether glow was blasted into the air and then fell to the ground. When people saw the creature clearly, they were shocked. What creature is this? It looks like extreme nether glow, but it's not the same. It seems to be a male and female. Could it be extreme yang illumination? Many people reacted. After all, when it came to sacred beasts, only extreme yang illumination and extreme nether glow were equally famous. With a male upper body, it should be extreme yang illumination, but I've never heard of extreme yang illumination at level 4. After being continuously attacked by Lu Chen, extreme yang illumination had no power to fight back. Furthermore, extreme nether glow could only watch and did not dare to interfere. She seemed to be very afraid of getting close to extreme yang illumination, but she was also very concerned about extreme yang illumination's life and death. Solipsistic assistant. At this time, Extreme Young Illumination's HP was almost empty. Lu Chen could kill him at any time. Extreme Young Illumination's I looked at Netherglow. Sorry, Netherglow, I was discovered by him. He found your weakness. Lu Chen also noticed that Extreme E Netherglow's HP was almost empty. He quickly understood that these two guys should be sharing damage. Attacking Extreme E Netherglow did not cause any damage, so as long as Extreme Yang Illumination hid underground, he would not receive any damage. But it was different on the other hand. Extreme Yang Illumination had a physical body and could be attacked. When Extreme Yang Illumination was attacked, Extreme E Netherglow would receive the same amount of damage. Lu Chen snorted. Extreme E Netherglow, looks like your intangible form is not invincible. Between you and me, the victor has been decided. After saying that, Lu Chen's figure suddenly disappeared. With a void shattering, he directly blasted Extreme Young Illumination. -4.5 billion. With this punch, Extreme Young Illumination's body was directly blasted into a shocking hole. Half of his body was blasted away. Extreme E Netherglow suffered the same damage. Half of its huge body was directly blasted away, and its HP was instantly emptied. Extreme Young Illumination was instantly killed, but Extreme E Netherglow was still alive. It might be the effect of some life-saving skill. However, her physical body was damaged. Even if she had a single breath left, she no longer had the strength to fight. Two saint beasts, one alive and one dead, fell in front of Lu Chen. All of a sudden, all the members of the top 10 forces in the war zone were frightened out of their wits. He won? Solipsistic won? So the Extreme E Netherglow isn't invincible, its weakness is the Extreme Yang Illumination. If he couldn't find the Extreme Yang Illumination, then it would be impossible to kill the Extreme E Netherglow. And once you find Extreme Yang's illumination, it will have almost no ability to fight back and can be easily killed. Be that as it may, who can survive for more than 10 minutes under stars of annihilation? Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to find the Extreme Yang Illumination. Solipsistic is too strong. Lu Chen removed all of his statuses and slowly walked in front of the stricter Extreme E Netherglow. Before dying, the Extreme E Netherglow actually opened its eyes. It was a pair of eyes no different from an ordinary person's. She kept looking at the fallen Extreme Yang Illumination with a complicated expression in her eyes. Lu Chen wasn't in a hurry to make his move. Looking at the Extreme E Netherglow's affectionate gaze, Lu Chen asked gently, "Is he your lover? He and I were born at the same time, but we can't get close to each other. We have to be at least 500 meters apart. Otherwise, the two of us will fuse into nothingness." Lu Chen's heart tightened. The two of them were existences of two extremes. However, while inheriting a huge power, they were also forced to separate and were destined to never be together. Solipsistic, I didn't expect you to really do it. Perhaps to us, annihilation is the final release. Lu Chen let out a long sigh. Along the way, Lu Chen felt more and more that even opponents had their own stories. Even someone like the butcher might have another side that no one knew. "Are you sighing for me?" The Extreme E Netherglow looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen nodded. "You can never be together, but the connection between you is so tight that you can't completely separate. This is a kind of torture for anyone. You are also pitiful people." Ha 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 ha, are you sympathizing with the two sacred beasts? Solipsistic, you are really an interesting person. Are you sympathizing with your enemy? Lu Chen didn't say anything. After Extreme E Netherglow finished laughing, he let out a long sigh. It was as if he had just passed through 1,000 years of time. Actually, we're inferior to the average person. Lone Tyrant, I'm very curious as to what kind of person you are. Since you sympathize with us, you won't be merciful. You are like a saint who cares about the world, but when you make a move, you are like a peerless devil without any mercy. Lu Chen said indifferently, I am only sympathizing with your past, but that doesn't mean I will be merciful. You are my enemy. If I don't make a move, I will be the one who dies in the end. And before I reach the place I want to reach, I will not fall. The extreme Netherglow stared at Lu Chen for a long time, then said, So, you are more pitiful than us. I believe that you are more and more aware of how difficult the path you are persevering in is. And on this path, you are destined to move forward alone. No one can help you, no one can share your success and failure. Lu Chen smiled faintly. You're wrong. I'm not alone along the way. I have many friends, and I believe that I will have more friends in the future. After saying that, Lu Chen looked up. The human races Shuangling, Gufei, Yanran, Dongfangji, Moran, Nantian, 4 Seas Expedition, the demon races Balrog family, the Holy War Demon Lord, the Desolate God Tribe Saintus, and so many tribe members who smiled at him. There were even more people, such as Cowherd, Mountain Strength, Green Shirt, and his friends from Earth. Along the way, he had more and more friends. They treated each other with absolute sincerity. They were friends in life and death situations. They had faced many difficulties together, but they had also walked through it together. Interesting, you have given me too many surprises. The extreme Netherglow's voice became weaker and weaker. Very good, I am almost at my limit. As my last battle guarding the 4th heaven, there is no doubt that you have gained my recognition. Solipsistic, you are already qualified to enter the 5th heaven. And thank you for allowing me and Zhu Zhao to finally be free. It is a pity that I cannot see you go further. I do not know how far you can go, and whether you can reach the place you want to go. Lu Chen took a deep breath. I will do my best. Hearing Lu Chen's words, the extreme Netherglow slowly closed its eyes. 2 notifications popped up in Lu Chen's system. Killed Extreme Netherglow, 4th Heaven Domain Boss. Killed Extreme Yang Illumination, 4th Heaven Hidden Heaven Domain Boss. Chapter 706. Killed Extreme Netherglow, 4th Heaven Domain Boss. Obtained 10 billion Spiritual Energy Points. Obtained 4th Grade Advancement 1 Talent Fragment x 100. Obtained 4th Grade Advancement 1 Star Evolution Points x 100. Obtained Holy Beast Core x 10. Killed Extreme Yang Illumination, 4th Heaven Domain Boss. Obtained 10 billion Spiritual Energy Points. Obtained 4th Grade Advancement 1 Talent Fragment x 100. Obtained 4th Grade Advancement 1 Star Evolution Points x 100. Obtained Holy Beast Core x 20, triggered by greed. Everyone watched as Lu Chen leveled up. Leveling up was secondary. The main thing was that when this guy came to fight Extreme Netherglow, why didn't he level up first? What the hell is leveling up after fighting? Ding, obtained item. Seeing the last line of words, Lu Chen's entire body trembled. He was so excited that tears almost flowed out of his eyes. The Heaven Domain Boss finally dropped equipment. He had already defeated the Heaven Domain Boss several times without dropping anything. Now he was using the triple gate from the first Heaven Domain Boss. If it wasn't a quest, then it was a special boss. This time, it finally dropped something. However, the others were even more dumbfounded. Since no one had ever defeated Extreme Netherglow, naturally no one could obtain the items it dropped. In the end, Solipsistic had killed 2 holy beasts and obtained double the items. Extreme Netherglow and Extreme Yang Illumination dropped equipment? It can't be, right? What kind of equipment is it? It can't be a divine artifact, right? It's impossible for it to be a divine artifact, but it might drop a pseudo-divine artifact or a half-divine artifact. Even if it's an immortal artifact, it would at least be a peak immortal artifact. Oh, that's right, it might also drop a super-strong skill book. At this time, Lu Chen was also excited. He was carefully looking at the items he obtained. Extreme Nether Glow dropped a fragment of the demon god's lotus heart. This was the last fragment. Now Lu Chern had already gathered the demon god's lotus heart. He only needed to combine it. Other than that, Extreme Nether Glow only dropped one item. Yang Holy Beast Remnant Soul Stone. You can choose to summon Extreme Nether Glow's Remnant Soul to help you in battle or adopt the Extreme Nether Glow Infant Holy Beast. Infant Extreme Nether Glow cannot exist by itself. It must exist with Extreme Yang Illumination Infant Holy Beast. As for the Extreme Yang Illumination, it destroyed a piece of Remnant Soul Stone and a piece of Beast God Synthesis Stone. Holy *T, it can't be right? Only 2 Holy Beast Cubs dropped? This is too lousy. Lu Chen was greatly disappointed. Such a powerful Heaven Domain boss should at least drop a pseudo-divine equipment. In the end, it only dropped 2 Soul Remnant Stones. He had also raised a lot of battle pets. Those divine beast battle pets rarely had a chance to fight. Now, he had 2 more. Lu Chen felt a headache when he thought about the massive amount of materials they would need to grow. Lu Chen was greatly disappointed by the items dropped by the level 4 domain boss. Sighing, Lu Chen didn't have a choice for the time being. He thought that he might as well choose the Holy Beast Remnant Soul, which was more practical than the cub. However, when Lu Chen's gaze stopped on the Beast God Synthesis Stone, he was suddenly stunned. Beast God Synthesis Stone. Duality Sacred Beast, 4 Ultimate Mythical Beasts, 4 Ultimate Ferocious Beasts, 4 Ultimate Mythical 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 Beasts, Duality Sacred Beasts, a total of 18 mythical beasts. When all of them reach adulthood, the Beast God Synthesis Stone catalyzes them to synthesize a Beast God. The Beast God will have to be retrained from a cub, but its attributes will be much higher than those of all battle pets. It can also be extracted. A thunderbolt exploded in Lu Chen's mind. The Beast God's attributes were far better than any battle pets. That wasn't the most intimidating part. The most intimidating part was the last 2 words on the synthetic stone. It can be extracted. Lu Chen had obtained countless pieces of equipment, but only a few of them could be cashed out. Immortal Grade Mount Tai Shua, Immortal Grade Reincarnation Sarira, which was also known as the Azura Sarira, Immortal Grade Heaven Observation Eye, Immortal Martial Soul Cannon, and this Beast God. The others were all equipment. Only the Beast God was a battle pet. What would a battle pet that could be extracted from the battlefield be like? Just thinking about it made Lu Chen's blood boil. At first, Lu Chen wasn't interested in the Beast God. But when he learned that the Beast God could be extracted, his attitude changed 180 degrees. He began to re-evaluate the value of the Beast God. It was needless to say how difficult it was to obtain those battle pets. Even Yanran of the National Guard only obtained the Black Flame Dragon Emperor, which was made from 4 ferocious beasts. And Lu Chen had obtained all the mythical beasts. Although it was difficult, many people still had mythical beast battle pet. The most difficult part of creating a beast god was obviously the divine beast and the beast god synthesis stone. At least so far, he was the only one who had the divine beast and the divine beast. Even if the others combined all their mythical beast battle pets, they still wouldn't be able to create a beast god. Lu Chen was the only one who could create a beast god. It just so happens that I can still create those little guys. Otherwise, their presence will become less and less noticeable. Generally speaking, the items dropped by a Heaven Domain boss would also have a strong effect in the next Heaven Domain. Judging from the difficulty of creating a beast god, perhaps the beast god will be my trump card in the 5th heaven. Also, battle pets have equipment and skills that have incomparable growth potential. This means that the 2 items dropped by the divine beast are actually more useful than a pseudo-divine artifact, demigod artifact, or a heaven rank advanced skill. Thinking of this, Lu Chen made up his mind to create a beast god. The corpses of the divine beast attracted each other and then disintegrated. They weren't together when they were alive, but they finally merged after death. Looking at the starry sky, Lu Chen shook his head. This was his final destination. The battle with the lunar netherglow was finally over. Lu Chen lowered his head and looked around. At this moment, the war zone was already in a mess. There were huge pits everywhere, probably left by his space spirit energy cannon. There was a huge abyss in the middle of the war zone. It was a bottomless pit left by the lunar netherglow's star annihilation. It hadn't been filled in time, but the divine beast had died in battle. It seemed that it could only become a unique scenery here. At this moment, Lu Chen looked around. The people of the 10 major forces all looked at the human male in the battlefield. At this moment, the Saintess suddenly used the Great Cauldron Talisman and said in a loud voice, "Congratulations to the mad god for killing the divine beast." Everyone looked at each other. Not far away, the human camp shouted in unison, "Congratulations to the mad god for killing the divine beast." Following that, the devil race and the other camps all shouted in unison. On one hand, everyone was intimidated by Lu Chen's strength. During the battle, Lu Chen was decisive and didn't hesitate at all. In addition, there were rumors about the solipsistic. He was a cold-faced demon who never showed mercy to his enemies. Who would dare to provoke such a person? On the other hand, the solipsistic broke the 1,000-year-old legend and defeated the divine beast with his own strength. He was worthy of the title of Mad God. To put it bluntly, with the solipsistic's current strength, who would dare to offend him in the 9 camps? In an instant, the 10,000 races submitted. Gu Fei shook his head. This guy is obviously ridiculously strong, but he didn't let his sister come to watch the battle. If Wild Wavy came and saw this scene, she would worship her brother even more. Mo Rant's eyes flashed with the light of Zi Hao. Not to mention his sister, even I feel extremely proud. Among us humans, there are also people who can make the 10,000 races worship them. On the other hand, Zhenghua Yanran had a complicated look in her eyes. Although she was happier than anyone that the solipsistic could survive and was proud of him to see the 10,000 races worship him, she didn't know why, but she had a feeling. It seemed that she would never be able to catch up with that person's back. Chapter 707. Lu Chen spread his wings and flew into the air. His gaze swept across the entire battlefield, and his voice resounded throughout the battlefield. From being a wanted criminal to being worshipped by thousands of races, Lu Chen was already at the peak of the 4th heaven. Today, he could finally be the one to set the rules. From today onwards, all races below the 4th heaven are free to develop. Physical injuries are not allowed in racial wars. Do you have any objections? The leaders of the 9 factions all looked at the man in the air in surprise. They never thought that the solipsistic would actually change the rules of the 3rd and 4th heavens. I don't agree. A Titan immediately shouted. This is unfair to the stronger races. In the Jiutian, the strong are respected. Why should we, the stronger races, share resources with the weaker races? You humans are weak. That's why you suggested this change. However, we, the Titan race, have the strength to swallow you humans. Without physical injuries, you can't kill the humans. Lu Chen looked coldly at the Titan race man. If I didn't hear wrongly, you said that the humans are weak and unworthy to share the heavens with the Titan race? Many people started to respond to the Titan race man. We are speaking the truth. Although you, the solipsistic, are strong, do the humans have someone like you? Do you think you can change the fate of an entire race alone? You don't need to suffer physical injuries. You humans have so many people. That's your advantage. Lu Chen's eyes flashed coldly. Humans are weak? I think you have not understood your position. I will give you one chance to change your decision. Everyone who disagrees with my suggestion, attack me with all your strength. I will give you time to transfer those who are not affected. After 10 minutes of attack, I will ask again. The foreign races all looked at each other. The solipsistic had the intention to change the rules of the fourth heaven and the lower heavens, but they did not want to change. The contradiction between the two was fundamental. If it was a one-on-one battle, none of them would be a match for the solipsistic. How could they touch someone who could kill the two sacred beasts? However, if so many of them attacked together, the situation might be different. Start calling people now, Lu Chen said calmly. The Titan expert gritted his teeth and said loudly, Everyone, we will never be on equal footing with the human race. Solipsistic might be able to withstand star annihilation, but he might not be able to withstand all of our attacks. Everyone, immediately teleport those who are unaffected over here. Not long after, a large number of people poured in from the back of each camp. These people weren't the only ones who took action. Even the Titan giants, who had been weakened, gave themselves a special buff and started off with a highly explosive skill, shattering the mountains and rivers. When the others saw this, they no longer hesitated and attacked one after another. In an instant, tens of thousands of attacks simultaneously rushed towards Lu Chen in midair. There were all kinds of skills from different professions. It was too much for the eyes to take in. However, Lu Chen's body glowed faintly, and all the skills were neutralized. The higher the level of the skill, the greater the proportion of spiritual energy. Even if the arrows of an archer seem to be a physical attack, there must be spiritual energy in it. And Lu Chen, who had mastered spiritual energy, could be said to be in an invincible position. Tens of thousands of skills were still unable to hit Lu Chen. Could it be that he has learned the nihility body? Impossible. It should be the spiritual energy that the lunar nether glow mentioned before. He relied on this skill to withstand star annihilation. My God, all the skills are ineffective? Then how can we fight? Spiritual energy is too overbearing. Xianyuan Zi frowned slightly. It seems that the lunar nether glow was right. Spiritual energy can subvert all the skills below the fifth celestial layer. Beishue Gufei hurriedly asked, Senior Xianyuan Zi, doesn't that mean that the solipsistic is invincible within the fourth celestial layer? Xianyuan Zi took a deep breath. That's right. Within the fourth celestial layer, unless there are some extremely rare and special existences, there is nothing that can threaten him. After all, Xianyuan Zi was experienced and knowledgeable. There were indeed some special existences within the fourth celestial layer. For example, the little fur ball, the limitless demon sword. These things were things that even the Jiutian could not control, so they did not completely follow the Jiutian rules. But other than these exceptions, ordinary skills, and special effects were already ineffective against Lu Chen. That kid is finally standing at the peak of the fourth celestial layer. Dongfeng Ji sighed, invincible within the fourth celestial layer. I have never heard of anyone who could reach this level. For a full 10 minutes, Lu Chen allowed countless experts to join forces and attack him. He was still suspended in the sky, not moving at all. Impossible, we can't hit him at all. How can there be such an unimaginable thing? This has already violated the Jiutian rules. This person is already invincible. Devon looked curiously at Uncle Kwang and tugged at his father's sleeve. Dad, can I try? The flame demon actually wanted to try and see how that guy did it. But now was a matter of position, so he could not be as childish as Devon. Nonsense, when your Uncle Kwang comes back, let him spar with you alone. If you fight now, it means that you oppose Uncle Kwang's suggestion. Do you object? Devon hurriedly shook his head. Of course I don't object. Uncle Kwang is a human, but no one is stronger than him. I am proud of Uncle Kwang, so I definitely won't kill a human. The Balrog smiled faintly. The little guy had been subtly influenced by Old Kwang. Old Kwang was broad-minded. He didn't care about the human race. In his eyes, all races could be friends. Demons, insectoids, nature elves. Just like what he had said before, Old Kwang cared about the common people. The flame demon patted Devon's head and said, "Devon, your Uncle Kwang changed the situation of the Qinyan realm today, but in the future, this piece will still need you juniors to protect it." "Dad, I will definitely work hard. I want to be like Uncle Kwang and dominate the world." In the Oxhead clan's camp, the Oxhead clan's father and daughter, who had teamed up with Lu Chun and Shuang Ling, were also present. Xiao Lan was already stunned by Lu Chen's strength. "Dad, that guy, is he really in the same team as us? He's too strong." 100,000 people besieged him, but he didn't suffer any injuries. The Oxhead clan's brother shook his head and sighed. "Unbelievable! He has already reached a height that we can't reach. He killed the Yin-Yang sacred beast, and the extreme Yin nether glow can already destroy a race. The solipsistic is even stronger than it. How can these people still not understand? The human race is no longer the weakest race. Because of the solipsistic, the human race can already rule any heaven in the Qinyan realm. From now on, the situation of the world will be completely overturned." 10 minutes later, Lu Chen shouted in a low voice, "10 minutes is up." With this shout, no one dared to make a move. In fact, in less than 10 minutes, many people had already stopped in despair. That guy was simply an invincible existence. Lu Chen's voice sounded again. "All right, I'll ask again. Who has objections to my suggestion? This time, if anyone still feels superior in front of me, I don't mind making your sense of superiority disappear completely." The moment these words came out, everyone's expression changed. The sense of superiority came from the race. The solipsistic meant extermination of the race. Chapter 708. The Titan who had shouted the most fiercely just now had an ashen face. In front of the solipsistic's absolute power, numbers were useless. It was no exaggeration to say that as long as the solipsistic was willing, he could kill everyone present. In fact, everyone in the entire fourth heaven domain. "Forget it, Scar. Don't object anymore." His companion beside him said, "Now, his words are the rules. With his strength, the human race is already invincible. His request is not excessive. He did not stop the races from fighting for territory, but only prohibited the use of physical damage skills. In other words, we cannot destroy a race, but the strong will still be strong, and the weak will only get a small amount of territory. It can't be that the solipsistic will destroy the entire race because of this, right?" Scar sighed. "It seems that this is the only way." At this point, no one dared to object to Lu Chen's suggestion. From now on, physical damage was abolished in the fourth heaven. Lu Chen also heaved a sigh of relief. At least this way, even if Lu Yi and the others died, they would not die in the real world. However, he could only guarantee that there would not be any genocide in the fourth heaven. After all, he did not know what the situation was like in the higher heavens. The 9 camps, the wilderness god tribe, the highest commanders of the immortal army, the great generals, and the officials of the Immortal Army Alliance all came to the center of the war zone and signed the new rules. The battle of the 2 forms sacred beasts had ended for 2 days, and the rumors about the battle were getting more and more ridiculous. There were too many rumors about the solipsistic also having the nihility body, or that he fought the extreme yang illumination underground for 3 days and 3 nights and finally killed it. His name had become a household name in the fourth heaven. In addition, after the new rules were announced, the various camps also added many new explanations. For example, in abnormal battles, the maximum number of times each person could revive, the scale of the battle, and the duration of the battle. Now that the extreme netherglow was dead, there was no time limit to the battle. If they kept reviving, The two armies could fight until the end of time. Lu Chen did not want to ask too much about this situation. There was no way to stop the races from fighting for resources, and he did not have the time to go from house to distribute resources. Moreover, the fifth celestial layer was definitely a place where strength was respected, so competition was inevitable. Forcibly restraining them would be counterproductive. Regardless of what was going on in the outside world, Lu Chen was quite relaxed. He had been staying in Gu Fei's camp for the past 2 days. Today, his backfire effect had ended. The extreme nether glow had already acknowledged Lu Chen's strength. He could directly enter the fifth layer of heaven. However, Lu Chen planned to stay in the fourth layer of heaven for a few more months. Lu Yi and the others had also heard about the battle between Lu Chen and Lunar Netherglow. Nan Tian had actually used a low-level shadow stone to record the battle. This was to be used as a teaching material. Lu Yi and the rest had watched their brothers battle. Although it was just a video, they were so frightened by the situation that they were sweating profusely. This level of battle is too exaggerated. Why didn't the guild leader tell us about such an important battle? He didn't want us to worry. Fortunately, Mad God won in the end. However, after watching the battle, I was scared witless. If I didn't know that Mad God was still alive, I would probably have a heart attack. Lu Yi's eyes were red. Stupid Lu Chen, you didn't tell me about a battle of life and death. Now that he won, if he lost, how sad would I be? At this moment, a faint voice sounded, "Can your brother lose? I was just afraid that I would delay your cultivation." Everyone turned around and saw that the person who came was none other than Solipsistic. "Brother!" When Lu Yi saw her brother, she cried and ran to Lu Chen and punched him on the shoulder. "Do you still treat me as your sister? Why didn't you tell me about such a dangerous thing?" Lu Chen smiled faintly. "Silly girl, if I had told you earlier, you would probably have been scared for 2 months. Alright, don't cry, I'm fine now." Stardust, Xiao Yaofeng, and the others immediately surrounded him. "Mad God, why are you here?" Lu Chen smiled. "I'm here to see you guys, so that people won't say that I don't care about our friendship and don't welcome you guys every time." "Mad God, what are you talking about? You've done enough for the players on Earth. Are you guys adapting well here?" "Adapting? The Southern Sky Sect leader wanted us to start as inner disciples, but our strength isn't enough for inner disciples, so we'll start as outer disciples." Lu Chen nodded. "That's good too. If we don't live up to the name, it will hinder our future development. There's nothing bad about being outer disciples." "That's right, Mad God, there's an outer disciple called Brother Wrist. After knowing that we're from your hometown, he took special care of us." Brother Wrist. Lu Chen just remembered that he had a group of outer disciples in the Celestial Pinnacle sect. It seemed like Brother Wrist worshipped Lu Chen even more now. He even took special care of his hometown. After that, Lu Chen and the others went to see Brother Wrist and the others. After seeing Lu Chen, Brother Wrist was so excited that he was incoherent. In the past, he had nearly charged into Lone Tyrant's room to teach him a lesson. In the end, if Lone Tyrant had already become the #1 expert within the 4th heavenly layer, it truly felt as if a lifetime had passed. He didn't expect that Lu Chen's room was still intact. He called Lu Yi to his room alone. "Fatty, I'll talk to Brother Nantian. You can stay here from now on. It's quieter here." Okay. By the way, can Sister Nuanyuan and the others stay here with me in the future?" "Up to you." Lu Chen had always doted on Lu Yi, so he naturally didn't have any objections. "Will you wait for them? They miss you very much." Lu Chen thought for a while and shook his head. "I might be going to the 5th heaven soon. It's just that I still have some things to take care of. I'll stay here for a while." Lu Yi was a little regretful, but she also knew that her brother still had a long way to go. He couldn't stop and wait for anyone. "By the way, this is for you." After saying that, Lu Chen took out a key and handed it to Lu Chen. This is the whirlpool key. There are many whirlpools in the fourth heaven. If you're not careful, you'll be sucked in. With this key, you can come out. However, there are also many opportunities in the whirlpool world. If it's not a crisis, try to explore by yourself. Moreover, every whirlpool world has a whirlpool key. This is a spare for you. Louis looked at the key in shock. Brother, how did you get this thing? I've heard of the whirlpool world. I also know that you've come out from a whirlpool before. But this thing shouldn't exist. Lu Chen smiled. I have a passive called greed. 10% will give me an additional reward. Speaking of which, it's quite strange. 2 whirlpools, it was the key that triggered greed. I'm drunk. Oh, by the way, I sold another one. I exchanged it for a high-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique and an immortal martial. If you want to sell, at least exchange it for a mid-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique. Lu Yi's eyes widened. What kind of price was that? A high-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique and an immortal martial. Have you finished your daily mission for today? I've finished it. Brother Wrist rushed to help me. Now that everyone knew that Lu Yi was Lu Chen's sister, Brother Wrist would definitely take care of Lu Yi. He would definitely not let Lu Yi do things like daily missions. And alright then. Let's go. Follow me to the sex store to exchange for cash withdrawal ticket. Lu Chen pulled Lu Yi. I finally have a chance to withdraw cash. My 2 million plus sect contributions are already thirsting for it. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.